Factory Connection FXR. The 180 of Cody Haas out of Xenia, Ohio on the KTM, backed by Factory Connection in Recluse. The 252 of Adam Odell out of East Concord, New York. Who wants it? Get you some. Hole shut up for grabs, going 4 wide, 3 wide, getting squirrely. Woo, it's going to be a dusty one. We thought there'd be rain. So far, so good. This dust going to be a major factor here today as we turn our attention to row number 11, the Open B class. And Ricky Towery lets us know we're ready to go in 10 seconds. I thought that was something else. The number 91 of Max Doherty out of Atco, New Jersey on the Steve Hatch Toy Tech Factory Connections back machine. The 329 of Kyle Gray out of Waynesburg, Pennsylvania. The 367 of Jordan Miller out of Acme, Pennsylvania on the Miller Transport LLC machine. Oh, all kinds of cattywampus. Oh, and they go down at the hole shot. This one's getting wild. I believe that was the 555 of Colton Hawk out of Petersburg, West by God, Virginia, snagging it right there. And we turn our attention back to Ricky Towery. Wee doggy, row 16, Senior B, ready to roll in 10 seconds. Woo. 108, 109 of Gene Swide out of Sarville, Pennsylvania. The 130, Leon Whittaver out of Warren, Ohio on the SRT Off-Road O'Neill Racing back machine. Brent Belsol, Josatan Ramos, Matt Stolter on the 369 out of Chesswork, PA. Ripping, rolling, who wants it? That's the 357, snagging the whole shot right there. Woo. Ricky Towery and crew letting them know to shut them down. And we're ready to go with the 4-stroke B lights as Ricky Towery signals to these guys it's time to race in 10 seconds. Jesse Groves out of Morgantown, West Virginia. How about that, hometown? Get you some. 214, Austin Hovatter out of Arthurdale, West Virginia. Austin Sentinel, the 225 out of Travelers Rest, South Carolina. 226 of Trevor Golden out of Dunbar, PA on the Ride On Moto. Morgantown Power Sports. Boy, look at that dust, boys. Yowzers. Getting sideways right at the hole shot. Well, second and third, that's going to create a big gap early for our leader. Couple rows left here. The 250B class coming up next. Warren Friend. Oh, might want to do a 10-second call here. 10 seconds. Warren Friend out in front. Austin Glass out in front. It's not time for that. The 171 Warren Friend out there out of Morgantown, West Virginia on the Biggie Smalls racing back machine. Dunlop and FXR. Austin Glass, Jacob Altz, Wyatt Schumann. Look at them jockeying for position. One rider goes down the 517. Snagging the whole shot right there. 614 gets right around him. That's Cameron Madison moving into the lead early. And we turn our attention now to the 150B class. You boys ready? Ricky Towery says, are you ready? 10 seconds. The 173 of Tanner Miller out of Morgantown, West Virginia. Hayden Serena on the 208 out of Harris, PA on the KTM. Peyton Gwynn, the 321 out of Parkersburg, West Virginia. Clayton Robbins on the 354 out of Chemung, New Jersey. The 374 of Jamison Hanlon. Toby Cleveland on the 413. Who wants it? Get you some. It is Toby Cleveland aboard the 413. Snagging the whole shot early in this one. Wee doggy, we got ourselves a clear track. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm not butter, Rodney's butter. I am imitation butter. That's it for the starting line, I believe. On RacerTV.com, we're going to take things to commercial, and when we come back, myself and Johnny G will be taking you through today's Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon GNCC.
When you crave the canyon passes, rocky trails, rutted tracks, the podiums and personal records, it becomes part of you. The choice now is, do you become a wanderer or the wanderer? You just need to ride where you belong.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
It's hard to put our adventures on hold, but now is the perfect time to prepare for their return. AMSOIL has your back with fast, free shipping, and ordering has never been easier. Just look up your vehicle, select your product, add an oil change to your cart, and check out. Spend $50 on AMSOIL products and shipping is on us. Order now at AMSOIL.com.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lieb, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. I'm Mikey Waynes alongside Mr. Johnny Gallagher himself, as well as Mark Hyde. I hope I'm saying Blackwater champion 5 times.
4 times.
4 times. I did the same thing Johnny did.
Well, there was back in the day. There was a lot of hubbub about the drive for 5, the one for the thumb. There was a lot of times Mark was real close to that 5th Blackwater back when I was a youngster. And awesome to have you in the booth with us today, Mark.
Well, it's great to be here. You know, it's I always enjoy getting back to the GNCCs. It's what got me where I am today, so always happy to fill in and do whatever I can to help the series.
Well, while we'll wait, and I think Mikey has some updates with us on how those starts went and also how things are going, but while we wait and we watch here, it looks like we are at the 8-mile marker as it comes, and they've got a pretty steep uphill right after this. We're watching some of our further back riders, which means our leaders should be just about coming into the bike-only section of this Mason-Dixon GNCC course. But Mark, tell us a little bit about what you're here doing this weekend with KTM, and we'll get right into the action here in a few minutes.
Okay, well, I run the Ride Orange program for KTM, which is mostly our demo activities, but as everybody knows, with the coronavirus, that's really not happening. So we've got our semi full of parts, full of staff, and I talked to our president, John Hines, who's actually here today, out enjoying the racing. And I said, let's go to the GNCCs. Let's make some stuff happen. So we're here helping out customers. I've got some of the new 2021s under the awning. We've got techs there, both a Husqvarna and a KTM tech. So if you have a question, a problem, an issue, we have parts. So we've already helped a bunch of guys over the weekend. In fact, the last 3 events we've done, we even had a guy come in this morning with missing a front fender during the morning race. In about 2 minutes, we had him a new front fender on. He was on his way, so we were able to do that. And again, just a lot of questions, help people with their bike setup. They've come to the track for the first time. We also have people on our staff like a Mike Lafferty, 8-time national enduro champ. So if somebody wants, what tires should I run? How should I set my suspension up? What should I expect? We have a lot of knowledge under the tent to help guys have a better weekend. And one thing, we've been doing a lot of air filters this weekend as well.
Imagine.
That speaks volumes to the conditions out there today, Mark. And again, thank you for being with us this weekend and representing KTM. Obviously, if you're a KTM owner or potentially want to be a KTM owner, I'm sure there's plenty of information and resources available for you there at that Trackside Support Semi. And as Mark was saying, a lot of air filter changes this weekend. Mikey, it is a dusty one. I can tell you from yesterday and being out there during this morning's 10 a.m. race, we're looking here at the 8-mile marker in the Monster Mile. And folks, it might look a little dusty there, but this is one of the sections of the course that is not all that dusty compared to some of what's out there. But Mikey, I think you also have some updates for us on some things that have already happened so early in this race.
A little bit transpired. Couple little small penalties out there, which in the big picture things probably won't be huge, but Ben Kelly, false start, if you will, as well as Evan Earl. So they'll both have, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Johnny, but they'll come into the finish. They'll be held up, I think, each 15 seconds because they were able to, they started the machine. They did not take off, which would be a 30-second penalty. So they'll have a 15-second penalty when they come around with a finish lap 1.
So essentially the way that rule reads, I don't know it verbatim, but I know what the intention of the rule is if you start your bike and take off, that is a 30-second penalty if you take off with the rest of the pack. Now, they do have the opportunity to penalize you more. So if you would start your bike, take off, and you would come through on the first lap with a minute lead instead of dust rest, they will hold you until you're back in the pack. However, if you don't seem to gain any advantage, it's a 30-second penalty. Where the 15-second penalty, which it sounds like will be assessed, comes in, is if you start your bike, shut it off, and then refire it, you're basically penalized that 15 seconds for kind of disrupting the flow of the riders around you. Here we are at the 11-mile marker, and judging by the way people are reacting, we are looking at our leaders, and there it is, the 5-2-3 Ampro Yamaha of Lane Michael, who came out with the lead out of those first couple turns, and he's making dust, making tracks. We saw him on screen a little bit ago, and he had a little bit of a gap over the second place rider, which is right here, and that is the 114 of Josh Strang, the freight train, out there trying to get maximum points today. Keep in mind, folks, that is the only rider left with a mathematical shot to beat that man right there, Caleb Russell. Caleb Russell in search of another GNCC championship, and we can check the math, but I believe he has, he just needs to finish within 17 points. Right. I believe it's within 17 points of Josh Strang. So at the end of the day, when we tally them up, and here we see coming into the, this looks like coming into the finish almost, but looks like Thad Duvall there. So was that not our leaders with?
No, Thad was right behind Caleb. So Thad would have been back.
Oh,
in the
there we go. So there's Caleb. So Caleb in fourth. Mikey, take it over. I'm all lost. They switched shots on us.
Oh, and the computer's not working.
Okay, so we do know our top four. There it is.
Yeah.
Thad Duvall in fourth, and a big welcome back to GNCC Racing for Thad Duvall. And I tell you what, we are in Thad Duvall country right here. You know, there is a lot of fans that are excited to see this number 989 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna back out here. And you know, Mark, as we watch this on screen, Thad has been out virtually the entire season. What are your thoughts as, you know, a former XC1 or back then AA rider, you know, to sit out the entire season, the rest of these guys are out there battling. What's it going to take for him to get back up in there and mix it up with these guys?
Well, I think in Thad's case, he rode a local race 2 weeks ago. And so he, you know, we know he's healthy to do a 2-hour race. And then he was at the National Enduro last weekend and got 3rd overall. And so that shows that the Enduros have more of a sprint pace going on. So he knows he has the speed to run with his guys. His big thing is the conditioning. But the nice thing with that, he's ridden the series for many years. He knows the tracks. He knows his body. He knows his bike. So he'll get a good feel where he's at. He knows what to do, especially. And the fans, I think, will really help him. You know, West Virginia, he's from West Virginia, so he'll have a lot of fan support. So maybe at the end, that'll help carry him through a little bit. But I think Thad, you know, get a good start, ride smart, and just see where he is after the you know, when the 2-lap card comes out, see what he's got left.
Well, and right now he's doing a great job of it. Within subtle leaders in that 4th place spot, we know our top 3 out front. Lane Michael, 2nd place Josh Strang, 3rd place was Caleb Russell, and then 4th place is right there Thad Duvall. So the boys are back at it. Caleb in 3rd, Thad in 4th, and it looks like Jordan Ashburn there in 5th. And that's you know who that is? That's the 514 Ampro Yamaha, Stu Baylor there in that 6th spot. So he is deep in the dust of Jordan Ashburn, and he's badly wanting to get to the front. It almost looked like he went down there, but he saved it. That just shows you just how hard Baylor is riding right now. 2 wins coming into this one, straight off of basically, as he would say, off the couch. Obviously, he's been riding, you know, been riding for months, been training, been racing, even the National Enduros coming in, and he jumped through some different bikes, and ultimately landed on that Ampro Yamaha team for a 1-ride trial, won the race, came back 2 weeks later, won again, and here he is now in the 5th place spot, or 6th place spot. So that is your top 6 as they run here in that XC1, and we believe overall. Now, we will have to keep an eye on the XC2 guys, because with the dusty conditions like this, the XC1 pack is going to get more and more strung out, which means there's even more opportunity. There is, oh, look at that. Now they have actually caught up to the back, so that is Ashburn, and he has actually caught Thad Duvall, it looks like. So there is 4th through that chicane there. That's 4th Duvall. 5th, that is Ashburn, and 6th is Baylor, and those guys are just boom, boom, boom right there, Mikey.
Dude, and I got to tell you, take a look at timing and scoring, like you said, which this lap 1, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe is going to be shorter than what we're going to see the rest of the day, just like it was in AM, like it was yesterday.
Correct, and quite a bit shorter at that.
Yeah, and with that said, so Mike Wachowski right now sitting 2nd on adjusted time from the XC2 class after snagging that hole shot. Will he stay there? I don't know. It's a 3-hour race. Lap times are going to get longer, but it is a fantastic start for him. And then you got Thorne Devlin in the number 5 spot in the overall, which 2nd in XC2, and then the number 19 of Ryder Lafferty, which we were just talking about. I believe Mike's his dad, right? Uncle, that's right.
Uncle Mike.
I was close.
Yep.
So yeah, those XC2 guys in the 250 Pro class already up in flirting with the top 5.
So as we watch on screen here, you know, it looks like we got a specialized rapid replay coming up.
Stu, let's jump to the inside.
I think that's clean. Johnny, what do you think? Yes or no?
Judging how it's arrowed, it's not bannered. It's not bannered, and it appears to be a legitimate line. I think everybody's just missing it. If those are not, we could obviously go inspect that, but if those are not double yellow placard or double green placards there, then they do not have to go between them. They would technically have 25 feet if it's not strung or bannered. They would be allowed to go to the inside of that tree. That would be well within the parameters of the rules.
Well, I guarantee you there's folks out there who saw it and are probably on the radio right now. Check this out.
They'll figure it out, and if it's not a good line, they'll banner it off. But I'll tell you what a good line right now is. The good line is the line out front. No dust, Lane Michael with clear vision, and it's equating to a little bit of a lead here for him. Josh Strang there in the second place spot on that 114 Monster Energy Babbitt's Kawasaki, and then right behind him is the #1 FMF KTM of Caleb Russell. And there is your top three as they run a little bit of a gap back to this guy, the 989 Rockstar Husqvarna, Thad Duvall. Again, first race back this season. We last saw him at the season opener. There is Ashburn and there is Baylor, so that makes your top six. And these boys are keeping it pretty close. And one thing we will say for those of you that tuned in yesterday on RacerTV, there is Grant Baylor also not too far back, so 7th place there within striking distance as well. Yesterday, I think, if you were watching, I don't know, Mikey, I wasn't here watching the screen because I was out there.
Bananas.
So the dust is going to be a lot thicker with the ATVs. Essentially, 4 wheels instead of 2, and the surface area that actually touches the ground of those 4 wheels is, if you do the math, it's about 15 times what a dirt bike is.
Yeah.
So you're just kicking up that much more dust, and it just kind of hangs in the woods and makes it a lot harder to see. So we're going to have better visibility today for our RacerTV cameras, and also obviously for the riders. But still, there definitely is an advantage to be out front. Not only vision, but also you have to look at it from the standpoint of air filters.
Yeah.
We saw yesterday that became a big part of the race. These guys are actually working their way into VP Fuels Pro Row. This is their first time through. There's the Tealy Energy pits there, and Lane Michael, I'm assuming, is going to be just a clean run here through Pro Pits. Nothing he's going to be needing to stop for this lap. I have heard rumors that some of the teams are planning multiple filter changes just in advance, not even going to take a chance. They're just planning it ahead of time. Mark, do you ever remember any races in your career where that was kind of like a pre-race strategy?
Oh, absolutely, and especially, you know, when you know going in with all the technology that's out there and the guys getting to see the course and everything. And that's one thing, while you might see the guys up front, they're all veterans of the sport, and there's a little bit of a gap between all of them because they know they're in a good space. The guy behind them is going to struggle to pass them. So if these guys are riding at this pace, keep themselves a little bit of a distance, it's just smart riding at this point in time because they know there's no reason to pass, but then they might use some pit strategies. You know, you figure, I know I did this with Rodney Smith one time. We talked about super dusty race. If you get a bad start, kind of get in your position, and then maybe we gas a lap early, but the lap before we gas, put the hammer down, get close to your guy, then when he pulls into gas, it'll be the easiest pass you make. So there could be a lot of pit strategies today, and as good as these mechanics are, I know I saw our KTM guys practicing the other day with the No Tools Airbox. They can pretty much gas them, put a filter in before that guy's done changing his goggles and getting his drink. So I know on our side, we're planning for it. Better safe than sorry. If you take a couple seconds there, it's better than what we've seen in the past with guys losing motors at the end of the race.
And, you know, Mark, that speaks volumes about the preparation that goes into this. You know, you're talking about the pit crew actually practicing. I had the opportunity to speak with your factory team manager, Auntie Collinen, during the morning race, and he was asking about, you know, how the filters were looking during the morning, and he was out there kind of doing some reconnaissance himself. And I asked him, I said, I'd heard a rumor that there was pre-planned filter changes, and he just kind of knowingly shook his head yes, and I basically asked him how long it took, and I don't want to divulge too much information, but it was calculated down to the second how long a filter takes, and you know, maybe I'm not supposed to share this, but 3 seconds longer to do a filter than it is to do fuel. Fuel takes roughly 8, and the filter took about 11, so he said basically it's a 3-second gamble, you know, to get a clean air filter in there. So he didn't say this, but I'm assuming every time the boys are in for fuel, they're probably going to be getting a clean air filter, just because for that 3 seconds, that's worth so much time out on the track. Especially, Mark, you weren't here with us last year, but the riders were just dropping like absolute flies, and I'm sure you heard about it, you know, guys, and it wasn't just the KTM guys, it was across the board. KTM, Husky, you know, nearly all of the factory teams are having some real struggles there with keeping the machines running. They were bump starting them and everything they could think of to try and keep them going, and a lot of those riders ended up not finishing those races.
Johnny, we talked about that, I think it was last last year where, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a mechanic, I'm not even going to sit here to pretend to be one, but am I wrong in saying that the Yamahas with the location of that air filter have a slight advantage as far as the dust goes? Is that yes or no?
In the dusty conditions, it just depends on how the rider rides, but you'll watch, I'm sure a lot of these guys got speeches from their mechanics and team managers before the race, you know, because it's not, when we say dust, we see dust hanging in the air, and that obviously that's what we'll call kind of the part that there's nothing you can do if you're behind somebody and they're kicking up dust. You have to ride through it. However, there's a big factor with air filters and dust that you yourself can control, and that's when you see a lot of these riders that'll go in and kind of what we call blowing up a berm. They'll go in, they'll bury that rear wheel in a silt berm and just full gas to come out of it, where you see some of the riders that have been around have a little bit more kind of savvy and expertise. You know, say your Caleb Russells, your Josh Strangs, guys that are a little long in the tooth, I guess we'll say. They'll come in and they'll tiptoe around the inside of a corner, even though they might give up a second in that one corner, if they know that that's saving their air filter, because especially on all of the models except for the Yamaha, the air filter is right there in front of the rear wheel, so when that's kicking up dust, it's getting sucked in there. But I know that, you know, KTM, a lot of these teams have done a lot to kind of dust-proof the intake there, and so that was the one case we did see, as you mentioned, last year. Ricky Russell was the only rider who didn't have to stop for an air filter. Everyone else either stopped or ultimately DNF'd the race, and there's you know, one of those Yamahas out front right now with that air filter mounted up where the fuel tank would be on most conventional motorcycles. But you know, in full disclosure, it takes a little bit longer to change that than it does a side panel mounted air filter. I'm sure the M-Pro guys have practiced and got, oh, look at that. Caleb Russell has really closed up on Josh Strang. Mark, as you were pointing out, you kind of pick your spots. You don't want to ride right on somebody's, because they're kicking up that dust and you're really sucking it in. Even just in that 7-8 seconds that went by since Caleb came through, look at that. See, that's you get three guys deep, and that's what you're dealing with. But even in just that 7-8 seconds, we saw the dust start to settle. So you kind of want to give yourself just that little gap, number one, so you can see, number two, so that you're not clogging up that air filter. But how do you pick your spots, I guess, when you think you might be able to make a move?
Well, on the course, the riders will know where maybe there is some moisture in the course. You get into the deeper woods, there might be not so much dust. I know there's a bike-only section, so that won't be as chewed up. And also out in some of the grass track areas, I know they threw some water down some of the open sections. So that's kind of where you pick your spots. You learn the course, you know, you have some lines picked out to where you can get close to where you can make that happen. But I think, you know, we see the front guys, they're keeping that little distance between each other because, like you said, they've all done this before. They have that experience like, hey, it's a long race. I'm going to bide my time, see what happens. And then also, once we get a few laps in, then Lane Michaels will get into the dust because of lappers. Yep. So if they keep their distance now, they stay more on a level playing field. And then once you get into the deeper traffic, that's when a lot of the moves will start. Pit strategy, you know, when do I change an air filter? When do I come for gas? So that's when a lot of these guys will start thinking about that stuff. And you know, I know at the truck this morning, like I said, we were selling, we have the pre-filters that we had a lot of guys stopping by and getting those today. And that's, you know, for the amateur guys, that'll really help you get through the day. And I know our guys are running them along with some other things that they've done to keep the dust out of there. And like you said, being a smart rider, don't be exploding those berms. You know, pick your spots when you think you have a shot to get close. And you can see all the veterans are all up front. They're all kind of keeping that distance. They got clean vision, and they're just biding their time till I think the whole track gets dusty once Lane gets into traffic, and then you'll start seeing some more action.
And that is a great point. You know, right now we see this clear air in between these guys, but as time progresses, as this race progresses, what's going to happen is, as you mentioned, they're going to start hitting lap riders. Those riders are also going to be kicking up dust. So they're really, you know, there might be a few patches on the track where they might be able to get some clean air. Andrew DeLong there behind Grant Baylor. That is your 7th and 8th place riders. There is Ben Kelly all the way back there in that 9th place spot. So he's a rider the last two races we've seen up there battling for a win. Again, probably a function of we do know that they stopped him, or we're going to at least stop and hold him at the finish line for 15 seconds. He may have lost some positions and definitely lost some time there. And here we see, here is your leader in that XC2 Pro Lights class, Mike Wachowski on the 282 AM Pro Yamaha out front, and he is the one making dust right now. And I could be wrong, but I think this second place beta rider, that looks to me that is too tall to be Thorne Devlin. I'm almost certain that is Cody Barnes. Was Cody Barnes up there?
I think you're absolutely right.
I could be wrong. wrong, but to me, I wasn't able to catch a number, but by the riding style, that looked to be Cody Barnes to me. I think Barnes may have worked his way into that second place spot. We'll wait and see here. This is maybe Johnny Gerard. Yep, there is the number 969 of Johnny Gerard. That is your XC2 Pro Lights Championship points leader at the moment. He's got a little bit of a points lead over Mike Wachowski and also Craig DeLong. And there is, yes, that is Devlin right there in the 4th place spot. So that was definitely Cody Barnes. And then that's the number 178 on the Monster Energy Online, Babbitt's Online, Kawasaki of Lyndon Snodgrass, then the Rockstar Husqvarna of Thad Duvall. So those are about your top 7 in that XC2 class. There is Ben Nelko. And if you look, as you see on screen there, the overall official, there's Jesse Ansley. So inside the top 10, Liam Draper hard on the throttle, back end kicks out, and back in pursuit of Jesse Ansley trying to make that pass. Interesting to note, if you look at our overall right now, we talked about the difference of that XC2 versus XC3. We've got only the top 6 XC1 guys even in the top 10 overall. So what was your top 4 in that XC2 Pro Lights class as they checked in and scoring was Wachowski, Thorne Devlin, Ryder Lafferty, and Ben Nelko were your top 4. That has shaken up now, but you had 4 XC2 guys in the top 10 overall. Really speaks volumes about the pace of that XC2 class here early. And, you know, guys, we've talked about this so many times. That XC2 class just absolutely pins it on lap 1.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't see Cody Barnes on the scoring, so maybe he may have transponder issues or something. At least he's not showing up right now, but we'll keep our eyes on that one. What about Lane Michael out front, the 523? He's had these great starts. We've seen it so many times this season, but he has yet to put together a complete race. Is today the day? Because to me, if I'm Lane Michael, I look at the success these last 2 rounds that Stu has had. And not to say a little bit of jealousy, but honestly, if I were him, I'd be like, well, now wait a second. I'm the Yamaha guy here. I want a taste of that. So maybe that's pushing Lane Michael into that position today.
It could be. And, you know, he really, really rode well here when we were here earlier this year. Technically, we were across the street.
Right.
But, you know, much of the same course, parts of the same course at least. You know, and that's a lot to say there that he was up front, he led, and then he chased Caleb Russell throughout much of that race and was right there. Unfortunately, ultimately went down hard, and that was when he separated that shoulder, which caused him to have to miss a couple races just before our summer break. So an unfortunate turn of events for him, but, you know, maybe this for him is, you know, we talked about Stu Baylor with his chance at redemption. There is what may be our top amateur, JoJo Cunningham.
He is. As a matter of fact, he's in the top 20 on adjusted time.
That from that, I believe, is that 4-stroke A lights class or 258?
258.
I always get that one mixed up. So 258, JoJo Cunningham out there on that Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki and killing it. One of our amateur riders. There's Tristan Landrum, another 258 rider, not too far behind. Both of those guys are Southern Ohio prospects, not too far from here. And I know they do a lot of local racing. And to the folks watching at home, if you guys don't make it out to too many races, what you're seeing on screen here with this dry and dust has kind of been the story this last month or so. I know that, Mark, I think you were you just out at the National Enduro where they had some cold temps and some rain. Where was that at?
That was over in Matthews, Indiana. We had, you know, conditions like this going into Saturday, and then Saturday night, Sunday morning it rained and made for some great conditions, and the temperatures dropped. We were in the 50s, and people were in coats and jackets, and it was kind of strange. And I'd like to jump back to Lane Michaels real quick. Lane is actually, even though he's from North Carolina now, he's a local kid. He grew up in this area, so I know he's got a lot of family and friends here, so, you know, that's going to be motivating him today. And on the XC2 guys, those guys, you know, in the XC1 right now, they're the smart veteran group, but the title is only down to 2 guys, and there's a big gap. Where right now the XC2, there you can throw a blanket over the guys that have a chance to win that title. So they're going to be really aggressive today. And the XC1 guys know that, hey, I can get up front, hang out here for a little while, then we'll see what shakes out, and then put the hammer down at the end. Where the XC2 guys, they don't have that choice. They know there's a title there. They all want it. They all want what Caleb and those guys have. So that's why I think we see the real aggressive pace out of the XC2 class today.
Very true. It's a good observation. And actually, you were talking about veterans, and perhaps one of the most decorated veterans on the course right now, not at least on the front row. Jason Raines just came through, and I believe he may be leading the way in that XC3 class. He was the first white background, blue number plate I saw come by. Doesn't necessarily mean he was leading. We might have missed one, but nonetheless, he is up there running up front or near the front in that XC3 class. Mikey, did you get a...
Well, according to time and scoring, when they checked in, he was back in the number 4 spot. He was competing for the whole shot, and then as they went up around where I couldn't see him, I heard someone yell, he's back to second to last right now. So he's got his work cut out for him. There's no doubt about that.
still, that's awesome to see him back out there. And that we can't say enough about that FMF XC3 class. It's I believe there was kind of some just ideas that got thrown around, and they said, hey, we really just need a class, kind of something for the kids that are coming off of minis that have a lot of speed but maybe aren't ready for XC2. And also I think FMF said, hey, well, if you guys want to do a class like that, we'll offer up some money for the purse, and we'd like to title it the FMF XC3 class. Obviously FMF well known for their two-stroke exhaust systems and supports many of the teams out here, but they just wanted to do a little something more for the series, a little something more for the riders. And it's cool that we actually get to see these guys on screen, because a lot of times as the race goes on, we don't always get to cover that XC3 class. They get a little bit far enough back that we're switching to the next camera shot, but a lot of good battling goes on in that class for sure.
And we get to listen to 125s, which is awesome. There's nothing like it.
It's like music.
It is.
Yeah, and speaking of 125XC class, if you swing over our KTM semi, we have the brand new 125XC built specifically for this class. It's something that we've talked to the GNCC people about. There was a demand for it, so again, John Hines, our president, he pushed hard for it. He got Austria to buy into it, and we've got a brand new 21 over there, fresh off the presses. And speaking of, my demo program that unfortunately didn't happen this year, Crow Canyon in Yurksville, Ohio, where our demo program started, they have their big turkey run next week. It's an open ride day. They got 400 acres of trails. They've got the motocross track, and we will have all the 21 off-road XC and XCW KTMs there to do, I think, our one and only dirt demo of the year this year. So if you want to come try out that new 125, we'll have it next week for you.
Well, very cool. That's a lot of opportunities to go ride some new dirt bikes at Crow Canyon next week. If you're in the area, go check it out for sure. Mark will be there as with his team. And I tell you what, at the 8-mile marker, what's heating up right now is the battle up front. Mike, you look like those guys there, the top two still had a little bit of a gap, and actually even third, but going back to fourth there, from Thad all the way back basically to just before Grant there, man, those guys were like wheel to wheel, and that whole hill became a brownout real quick. Grant Baylor looks like he's lost just a little bit of ground. Andrew DeLong on his rear wheel, and Ben Kelly still trying to recover from that penalty, not able to make his way around those guys. But that's the other thing, those guys in front of him, no slouches themselves. When you talk about, you look at Ben Kelly all the way back there in the 9th or 10th place spot physically in XC1 and outside the top 15 overall, but the guys he's racing with, these are all guys that are either race winners or podium contenders in their own right. So, he's going to have his work cut out for him. You see Mike Wachowski, just like Lane, they both checked up early, stayed out of that silt, and tried to take that inside. Mikey, I can tell you for sure, that is Cody Barnes. He may not be showing up on scoring, but that is the number 99 of Cody Barnes on the factory beta. Absolutely, I can tell by watching him ride. That is him. Now here is the number 969, third place in XC2. This is your championship points leader in that XC2 Pro Lights class. But again, Mark, we were just talking about it. There's the difference in riding styles. Some of those guys checking up early, taking those inside lines, staying out of the silt. Johnny Gerard is on a mission. He's trying to make up time. He knows those leaders are out in front of him a little bit. He's blowing up those berms, but man, that really could prove costly later.
You're absolutely right. You see the guys, and that's part of the thing, the strategy that comes into it. You have the top riders or their mechanics in their ear, hey, ride smart, ride safe, let's decide this race in the second half. And when we're looking at the riders too, a guy like Ben Kelly today, he's not in the points hunt, he's back a little bit. He could take a chance today, maybe go an extra lap before he gasses, and he could be a wild card, throw some things in there, and and you could use that, put that in the bank for next year. Let's try something today. If it works, great. If not, it's not the end of the world.
Well, we are about 46 minutes into this Mason-Dixon GNCC now. Lane Michael out in front. Pit strategy going to start coming into play here real soon. Can he hang on and capture his first win? GNCC Live continues after this.
When you crave the canyon passes, rocky trails, rutted tracks, the podiums and personal records, it becomes part of you. The choice now is, do you become a wanderer or the wanderer? You just need to ride where you belong.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
It's hard to put our adventures on hold, but now is the perfect time to prepare for their return. AMSOIL has your back with fast, free shipping, and ordering has never been easier. Just look up your vehicle, select your product, add an oil change to your cart, and check out. Spend $50 on AMSOIL products and shipping is on us. Order now at AMSOIL.com.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lee, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer. We win and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
This Week in Yamaha History takes us back to May 22nd, 2010 and the Mountain Ridge GNCC in Somerset, Pennsylvania. It was the time of the Chris Borich era of GNCC racing, and it was the days of riders like Florida's Taylor Kaiser, Pennsylvania's Chris Bithell, Illinois' Donnie Ackerman, Ohio's Brandon Summers, Mark Notman, and Kevin Yoho. And of course, one of today's top vet riders out of Uniontown, Pennsylvania, Jeffrey Pickens. Pickens grabbed the early hole shot and actually the early lead aboard his Yamaha that day. He was followed by fellow Yamaha pilot, the number 2 of Taylor Kaiser, and lurking not far in the background was Chris Borich. Borich soon found his way to the front of the pack as Kaiser fell all the way back to 6th place on the first lap. And then it was Chris Bithell who worked his way up to the rear bumper of Borich and keeping the competition dialed in through most of the race. As the conditions were a little wet due to some rain showers leading into the week, the hard, rocky course at Mountain Ridge presented a great racetrack and a great battle that day. As the race wore on and the riders were sorting things out, it was Yamaha's Taylor Kaiser slowly inching his way up from that 6th place on lap 1. All the way up to 2nd place on the final lap, pulling to within 12 seconds behind Chris Borich, where he finished behind Borich, who took the win. Adam McGill took 3rd on that day. And that's this week in Yamaha history.
Well, welcome back to GNCC Live. Johnny, were you there? We already know the answer, but
yeah, I was there. It was actually a pretty good day for me. I think I ended up inside the top 5 that day. I'm not certain, but it was a sure big departure from what we raced here this weekend. I mean, you couldn't have more polar opposite conditions. I remember it was pretty chilly, wet, and actually raining during the race. And now, keep that in mind, folks. As you're watching at home, we're seeing all this dust. The radar says we've got some weather on the way, but it's supposed to be here at noon.
Right.
We're supposed to be here at 1. It's 2:04, and we've not seen a drop of rain just yet. And I tell you what, these guys out there, as much as nobody likes riding in the rain, everybody except for Lane Michael, that man on screen right there leading the way, no dust in front of him, everybody else wants it to start raining. I can assure you that.
That was going to be my question. I mean, once you're into the thick of this, do you want the rain? I mean, what is that going to add to this race? Obviously, for pit crews, now you got goggle changes, all that stuff. What would it change in the race if that rain does happen to come in?
Mark, I'll let you take this one.
The biggest thing is going to be your vision.
Yeah.
That's going to be problem 1, because what you're going to have, if you get some rain, get some moisture on your goggles, then you hit those powder berms, you're not going to get enough rain to make that go away. So it's kind of going to be some of the worst conditions you could be in. And then you're talking tire setup too, because guys have set their bikes up for hard terrain, hard pack, blue groove conditions, and now you put, it's like putting grease on ice. When we get some rain on this condition, so maybe the tire selection that they had previously opted to go with, that won't work. But I think the vision would be the biggest problem, and like I said, it would just make a mess of everything.
Mikey, as I think we're going to get a guest in the booth here, how about you run down the top 5 for us in those gaps? I believe they did just check in with 2 laps complete.
So taking a look at your overall there, Lane Michael still leading after 2. The gap on that one when he checked in 16 seconds. Josh Strang, the 114 Kawasaki, in the number 2 spot. He is, again, 16 seconds back. And then Caleb Russell, that number 1 KTM, which we hadn't really talked about it much yet. We'll get to more on it later. Caleb Russell actually left the last race with that injury. So how much is that affecting him today? We'll have more on that here later this afternoon. But right now, sitting in the number 3 spot, the 989. Welcome back to the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna of Thad Duvall, sitting in the number 4 spot. And rounding out that top 5 is the 127 Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki of Jordan Ashburn. And how about this for a segue? Speaking of Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki, we are now joined in the booth with your youth overall champion from the Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki, Grant Davis. Man, how are you?
Good.
Pull that in a little closer. So, man, talk to us. You wrapped up the national championship this morning in the youth bike race. Man, talk to us a little bit about your season, what it took to make it happen.
Yeah, today was a pretty awesome day for me, and I pushed really hard to make this happen. It was my goal pretty much my whole life, and now I want to win amateur overall, and then XC2 championships, and then XC1, just like Caleb Russell is.
You got it dialed in. You got the game plan in motion, man. Well, I can definitely tell you, enjoy this. No doubt about it. Time moves quick. Next thing you know, you'll be up there. We'll be watching you on this screen, duking it out with these guys. What were some of the challenges you faced this year? I know early on watching you, as well as fellow Kawasaki rider Jack Joy, and some of the battles you guys had early on. Of course, Jack with the injury there about a quarter of the way through the season, kind of changed things up a bit. But it was not a cakewalk for you, no doubt about that.
No, it was me and Jack battled a lot. And then Lane Whitmer, actually, he's picked his speed up a lot, and he's been there with us too. And it's a three-way battle a lot of the times. It's really fun.
It was definitely that today, man. So you mentioned several classes. I know you're not moving to XC2 next year or XC1, but do you know what's in store for you moving into 2021?
We don't know yet, but it might be youth, but we're almost positive it will probably be big bikes. And we'll probably run B lights this last race of this year, and then we'll go to maybe A lights next year.
Solid. I think you'll do well, man. Excited for you. What are these guys facing out? You raced this track, part of this track, I should say, this morning. We can see on screen, we've talked about it endlessly, but you were actually out there aboard the Kawasaki. What are these guys going through right now?
It reminds me of riding in the snow.
No kidding. That's, you know what, that kind of nails it.
Yeah, because you're going and it splits two ways. It's weird.
It's deep.
Yeah, it's
no
like
doubt
snow.
About that. It's like snow. That nails it, man. Well, Grant Davis, man, again, a big congratulations to you on the overall win in the bikes, and what a fantastic youth career. So it sounds like we just got a report. Sounds like our pro rider's going to be running through Pro Row here in a minute, and I believe we're going to get our first string of air filter changes, which, as they talked about earlier, they planned on it. They knew it was coming, and yeah, so we'll hopefully have some footage of that coming up here in a second. Looking at mile marker number 2 right now. Again, Lane Michael still in control of this one out in front. When he checked in there, he had a 16-second lead over the 114 of Josh Strang. And here they come. They're about so they are about to enter those auxiliary pits first, and then go down in there into Pro Row. I don't know if we don't have that shot up yet or not. There we go. There's our Yamaha Racing Skycam. So hopefully we can get a look in here, maybe a bird's eye view of these guys coming into VP Racing Pro Row, and see who's going to. Do you expect them all to change filters? I mean, this is where that pit strategy you were talking about comes into play.
Yeah.
So
Lane Michael, he's been leading. So he's been had a clear track, so he would not do it. I think with what's on the line for Caleb Russell, 100% he'll get a filter. Josh Strang, he probably not do one because, Josh's not doing one because he's got more on the line. This is maybe his chance. He thinks he can get away from Caleb and drag this on to another race before Caleb can wrap this up.
Got to think the same for Thad. So KTM, do we know if Thad Duvall took a change? No. Okay, so no. Oh, he did get the pass. He was up in the number 3 spot.
See, there that might be. Okay, and you know why I talked earlier, some of the guys might not do it now, but they might do it later to track position. You know, you hear that in NASCAR all the time. I want track position over tires or whatever. Here he's going for track position over air filter. So if he can get that track position, get out front, drop the hammer a little bit, then maybe the next time through, that's when he'll do his filter. So there's a lot of games going on right now, a lot of strategy.
Without a doubt, that's one of the things I was talking about earlier. Do the voiceovers for MAV TV on the bike side, which is just, it's a condensed 30 minutes of what we do for 3 hours. And I always think, all right, there's someone clicking through the channels right now who says, oh, GNCC, a 30-minute race. Why are they pitting? Why are they doing this and that? So I try to drive it home. No, it's 3 hours. There are so many moving parts. Pit strategy is such a huge part. Lappers, Grant Baylor in the Sherco pits getting a change. There are so many moving parts, and this right here, without a doubt, like you said, it's a chess match in those pits, and it can definitely make or break a race for pro riders on down to the amateur level.
Yeah, and one thing too, the riders, they've got to be aware that this is coming as well and be mentally prepared, because there's nothing worse than sitting there looking at your motorcycle while somebody's working on it thinking, I gotta go. But so mentally they got to stay in it. They know it's part of the program, it's coming, just deal with it, be ready for it, and use that time to gather your thoughts. Talk to your mechanic or somebody there, and they can tell you, hey, you're losing time here, you're gaining time here, this is going to happen. You know, get your drink, get hydrated, you know, get your goo pack or whatever you want done, so there you take advantage of that time off, you know, to make it count.
You can see the wheels turning if you've ever been in the pits at a GNCC, and if a rider's got to come off the machine, you can see the wheels turning in their head. This has taken a long time for Jordan Ashburn.
Yeah.
Well, now here's the other thing. If you've got two pro riders out there, like the Kawasaki team, you've got Strang, you've got Ashburn. Is that kind of, you stagger those pits for those guys as far as air filter change?
You know, it's one of those things because over the years I've worked with a bunch of different riders, and you have guys different styles and different techniques. And some of them might, you know, like Steve Hatch and Rodney Smith were a perfect example. You know, Rodney could use less gas in 4 laps than Steve used in 3. So you kind of had an automatic stagger built in. So I'm not sure on theirs, but I think all the teams out there have enough people and manpower to, if they have to do both riders at the same time, they will be prepared for it. But in an ideal world, yes, it would be great to stagger them so you have a little less commotion going on in case something else comes up. You've got the manpower to deal with it. But these guys, they're all on top of their game. You know, they're not up front for, you know, for no reason. You know, I know Auntie and his gang and the Husqvarna team, those guys, they were practicing yesterday. They practiced during the week. They know what's coming. They're ready for it.
So an hour into this one, we've got filter changes. So you got to think, I think maybe Johnny was talking about it earlier, maybe anticipate a couple changes today. I mean, we're 1 hour into a 3-hour race. We might see one more before it's all said and done.
Yeah, and one of the things, too, with this filter change we've just gone through, they'll look at the filters that came out. And so then they have some information, say, hey, it wasn't that bad. And, like, you know, we've been selling I talked about earlier, the filter covers. And so you might be able to do just pop your side cover off, rip the cover off, so then you've got a clean filter under that, and maybe that's the plan for the second filter change, if needed.
Well, it definitely opened up the window of opportunity there for Lane Michael, who I believe did not take a filter change there, and he is well out in front now. This is where he's going to, well, I say well out in front, there was second place right behind him, but gives him an opportunity to kind of widen the gap, if you will, out there in front. I thought for a second he was slowing down. I was about to start talking air filters again. Folks at home are probably getting tired of it. On the ATV side yesterday, it was almost unheard of for those guys to have to change air filters. It just was not common. Matter of fact, I think about the only pit that was prepared for it was Mark Notman with Walker Fowler, and it got so bad toward the end. I was down there doing pit reporting. It was like as soon as I do an interview about one rider, I turned my back, and there was another rider broke down or getting an air filter, and Mark Notman, the mechanic for Walker Fowler, actually ran out to the rest of the pits. He said, if you guys have air filters, you better change them, and it definitely made the difference. So today the guys kind of expecting it more, which we have seen it more on the bike side versus the ATV side as far as the air filter change, but I know we're talking about it a lot, but boy, it's dusty out there. It's snow. It's snow dust, right, Grant?
Yeah.
And, you know, on the ATV side, they run an hour less than the bike, so there's a little more concern. And when the ATVs are running, the track is usually fresher. They chew it up a little bit more as they create some of that powder, so they actually make the conditions a little bit worse for the bikes on a day like today. And Lane Michael, like I said, he's looking good and smooth out front. And for him, you know, like I said, being a local kid, I know he's going to have a lot of fans out there and a lot of family. And we know he's got the speed. He's done some amazing things on a motorcycle. And since it is dusty, the guy behind him is not going to be putting on much pressure on him, so he's going to feel a little bit more comfortable. And every lap that goes by that he stays out front without that, you know, without hearing that motor, we just saw Strang there, you know, slipping a little bit because now you're going to get the hard pack dirt underneath and all this silt on the top, you know, and that's going to change. Oh, there's Thad Duvall.
Thad Duvall, you know, in that number 3 spot looking for a podium. I tell you why. It's because I said during the Bottleneck Live show this last week, I said, I think Thad will get 5th, maybe 4th. And his mom, Susie, said, now, wait a second. You're just saying that to create drama. I said, well, maybe he'll prove me wrong. I mean, Stu sat out on the couch, as he says, and comes out and wins 2 in a row. Maybe Thad can make it happen. He's in podium position right now, and that's got to feel good, I think, if you're Thad Duvall, like you were saying earlier, who ran the local race. But, you know, these guys, you hear them say it all the time, nothing, practice, locals, nothing compares to that 3-hour GNCC. So it'll be interesting once we get to that 2-hour mark into that final hour. I've got to believe for Thad Duvall, the fitness and everything's going to be there, but it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that.
And the good thing with that is he did ride the National Enduro last week.
Yes.
And so you have the Baylors were there, Ben Kelly, Josh Toth. So he knows he has the speed because he ran their pace last week. But does he have 3 hours? And these conditions could actually help Thad because I don't think the pace is as hard at the beginning of this race because of the dust. You're hanging back, you know, you can only go as fast as you can see. So I think Thad can conserve some energy and and you'll have a real strong shot at this thing when it's over with if his conditioning is anywhere close to what it used to be, because I don't think they're going to be using quite the energy up front that they would at a normal GNCC pace.
That nails it right there. Matter of fact, if you go back last year, the Mason-Dixon, our winner at that one was Thad Duvall. So can he make it 2 years in a row? There's a 282 of Mike Wachowski there. Let's take a look at that XC2 class. As I pull that up, obviously Wachowski's still out in front unless I missed somebody. But yeah, Mike Wachowski still in that number 2 spot. When he checked in, he had about an 18.5-second lead over the 990 of Cody Barnes on the Beta machine, who's having a fantastic ride so far. Johnny Gerard, the 969. KTM is in the number 3 spot, and Thorne Devlin, the guys in, it seems automatic on those hole shots. That podium finish, though, for Thorne Devlin has kind of eluded him this year. So we'll see if maybe he can put it together here today as we get down to the tail end of this season. And Landon Snodgrass rounding out the top 5. A guy that I thought would be up there a little higher, and it's still early. Craig DeLong back in the number 6 spot. Not sure if there's something going on there or what, but he's only 2 seconds off the pace. Liam Draper, the 198 KTM, back in the number 7 spot. Ben Nelko in 8th with Jesse Ansley. Jesse, another guy on the KTM. We saw him take the championship in the FMF XC3, and to speak to how deep the competition is in the XC2, and what a big jump. I mean, going from the 125 to the 250 class. What do you think as far as Liam Draper this season, you know, coming off the championship in the XC3? How big of a move is that for these guys?
It's a big move because, you know, the XC3 class is more of a newer class, so you don't have the depth. You have still the fast guys up front, but if you have a bad day, you know, you might be 2nd or 3rd. Where XC2, and every time you jump up a step, and you're going to find this out there, youngster. Every time you jump up a step, the talent just gets faster, more consistent. So you have to bring your A game every week. And so I think that's what's affecting them, because, you know, in XC3, like I said, you can have a bad lap, a bad couple laps, and still be able to be in the hunt. Where now, especially today, I think that's the problem that Craig DeLong is having. He didn't get a great start today, and now he's further back in that dust, and it's just hard to get through. You know, when you're out in it on the TV, it doesn't look as bad as what it probably really is out there. So just having to deal with all that traffic, like I said, I think once we get caught up to where there's traffic all the way around for everybody, that's when you're going to start seeing more activity moving back and forth.
Braden Ouellette was in the pits there just a second ago. By the way, congratulations, Grant Davis making his way out of the booth. That is your youth champion. Babbitt's Online, Monster Energy Kawasaki there. That was Braden Ouellette on screen just a second ago. The Trail Jesters KTM got the air filter change. They had her dialed in. And we're off and rolling at the Mason-Dixon GNCC. We're about an hour and 15, coming up on an hour and 15 minutes. Taking a look at some of the other classes here. That FMF XC3, the 125 Pro-Am class. Mike DeLosa out in front, the 222. He had an 18-second gap between him and the 722 of Zach Hayes, who has seen some major success in that class this year, as well as the 707 of Jason Liscombe. Jason Rain still back in that number 4 spot, and Mac Reimer rounding out the top 5 in that FMF XC3 class. And then the XC1, we've really not talked much about it today, Johnny, and that is one, Caleb Russell looking for another championship here in the farewell campaign, if you will. And then obviously he's coming off that injury right now. Well, we know he's not in 3rd. That was Thad Duvall we saw a moment ago in 3rd place. I'm not sure on the math. Do you know, as far as Caleb? I think he's got to just...
So I made the comment earlier that he had a 67-point lead. I was actually using Walker Fowler's points lead coming into yesterday. It's actually, as Mark Hyde pointed out, 55 points is what Caleb Russell actually had on Josh Strang coming into the weekend, with 60 points left available on the table. Basically, after this weekend, he basically needs to leave here with a 60-point lead because he would not be able to beat on the tiebreaker, meaning number of wins by Strang. Therefore, Josh Strang, the only rider left with a mathematical shot at beating Caleb Russell, needs to just finish within 4 points. I was saying it was 16 or 17. It's actually 4 points of Caleb Caleb Russell. So Caleb Russell only has a few points to dabble with there. He actually needs to make points on Josh Strang to lock it up today. He's got a 55-point lead. He needs to leave here with 60, meaning he needs to essentially beat Josh Strang by 5 points or more. So if Caleb Russell would win, that's 30 points. Second place pays 25. If Caleb Russell wins, even if Josh Strang is second, wouldn't be good enough. Caleb Russell would lock it up. But, however, as they run, throwing out some possible scenarios. Right now, Josh Strang in second, Caleb Russell in fourth. Josh Strang would keep the championship alive. He would actually gain points back on Caleb Russell, meaning that it would be somewhere in the low, actually, I guess if it was second and fourth, that would be another 4 plus 3, 7 points he would gain, meaning that he would only be 48 points down with 2 rounds to go, so it would get even closer. But right now, 55 points is the gap. We'll keep you guys updated as they go. We're waiting on the leaders here at the 8-mile marker. The one thing we know for sure, the only way that Caleb Russell can assure himself the win or the championship is to go out and win the race today. If he does that, doesn't matter what anybody else does, he locks it up. But as you mentioned, coming off that knee injury, wasn't shy about it, posted some pictures on or some videos on Instagram showing the 3-inch long needle going into the center of his knee, draining the fluid out. It wasn't anything that required surgery. I did have the opportunity to speak with him, so it's not like he's nursing an injury along and as soon as the season's over he's going to have surgery. He's actually good to go. It's just a matter of healing. It was some strains, some bruising, and basically a really hard hit to that knee. Lane Michael out front and charging, making dust. 16 seconds was the gap last lap, and you can see those guys. They're pointing him that line. They're keeping him out of the dust. And in that case, you know, a lot of times you'll hear guys say, well, I want to make as much dust as I can to make it harder for the guys behind me. They're just trying to keep Lane out of the dust so he's not sucking it in that air filter and keep this gap on this rider right here, the number 114 of Josh Strang. And looks like his shadow there may be the 989 of Thad Duvall. There it is. Thad Duvall up to third. We saw that in the pits, and right behind him is Stu Baylor. Stu Baylor now up into the fourth place spot, has worked his way around Caleb Russell. So Russell now, that was him that just went by there. So Russell all the way back to that 5th place spot now. So Baylor up from 6th to 4th, and the rider that we lost in that exchange was Jordan Ashburn. Worth pointing out, Josh Strang in that 2nd place spot is going to probably have to do an air filter change. There's Ben Kelly, so a big move up for him all the way up to the 6th place spot now as they run physically. Last time we saw him, he was outside the top 10 on corrected time, and I believe he was 10th physically. So he's gotten his way around Andrew DeLong. He's gotten his way around Grant Baylor. We do know Grant Baylor was in for a filter change. It did not appear that Ben Kelly did, or if they did it very quickly. Here's the 410 Phoenix Racing Honda of Andrew DeLong, a rider that really had a couple breakthrough rides here recently. He's been doing well. He's been seemingly struggling throughout much of the season, riding well, having these crazy issues, and the last race he was able to put it together for a solid top 10 finish. And the rider we're missing is Grant Baylor. And now, folks, point this out. Still have not seen Jordan Ashburn. We know he was in the pits for a long, long time, but what we're going to see is he is going to drop well outside the top 10 overall once these XC2s guys start coming through, because he was physically, when they left the pits, he was physically 5th in XC2.
Yeah, and the filter changes, you know, we watched some of them done here, and the KTM guys got theirs done really quick. And that's another thing, if they're doing filters on a regular basis and they know they can do it within a normal gas stop time, that will let their riders take some more aggressive lines, not have to maybe lose a second here there, finding a less dusty line. So actually Caleb and Ben and the guys and Thad Duvall, they could get a little bit more aggressive with their line choice, knowing they have more filters to burn up than the other guys.
Yep, and there is 2nd place in XC2, and that is still the 99 of Cody Barnes. He is not worried about his air filter. He is max throttle, max go, get out of my way. I am trying to chase down Mike Witkowski, who did come through right there, and there it is. Oh, no, sorry, that's Lyndon Snodgrass. Yes. So that's now a 3rd place rider in XC2. He is also around his teammate Jordan Ashburn, and I believe that may have been Ashburn that just went up that inside line there. It looked like a white gear on a green bike, potentially. There is Craig DeLong, now would be 4th place in that XC2 Pro Lights class. And yeah, the big loser in that exchange, at least for now, Jordan Ashburn. Hate to see it for him. Was running solidly inside the top 5 there, and now he has dropped way, way, way back. That was a very, very long air filter change. So I'm sure Josh Strang is hoping that they figured something out there, and they're going to be a little quicker on his, because if not, we'd see him drop well outside the top 5.
Air filters, pit stop strategy, Lions, Tigers, Bears. We've got it all here at the GNCC today. Can Lane Michael hang on? He's still leading after 2. We're an hour and 20 minutes into this one. GNCC Live continues after this.
When you crave the canyon passes, rocky trails, rutted tracks, the podiums and personal records, it becomes part of you. The choice now is, do you become a wanderer or the wanderer? You just need to ride where you belong.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
It's hard to put our adventures on hold, but now is the perfect time to prepare for their return. AMSOIL has your back with fast, free shipping, and ordering has never been easier. Just look up your vehicle, select your product, add an oil change to your cart, and check out. Spend $50 on AMSOIL products and shipping is on us. Order now at AMSOIL.com.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-side is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lee, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young, and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
And we're back here from the Mason-Dixon GNCC on RacerTV Live. You're watching this dusty action here, and man, the racing action is heating up. The dust is blowing everywhere, and you can see the leaves are falling, so we got this beautiful fall scene set, and amidst it, a dirt bike race, and just a test of pure grit and determination. Right now, the man leading the way, just as if he was on cue, the 523 Ampro Yamaha of Lane Michael has led this one since the very first turn. He's the one kicking up all the dust, and we're joined in booth now by Steve Hatch. Steve, you've had an opportunity to be out there, check a little bit of the action as we wait and watch for our second place rider, which should be Josh Strang. What have you seen out there?
Yeah, Johnny, it's definitely looks like years ago when we've all been here, and silty, dusty, and gnarly. Air filters were a big problem even years ago when we were all racing it, so it's definitely gnarly out there. These guys are definitely clamped, and there's Josh there. Ooh, Thad's right on him.
We may see thought we were going to see a pass there for that second place spot.
But it's a mess for sure, and yeah, it's going to be tough keeping air filters and these bikes going.
So as we see there, Josh Strang in the second place spot, Thad Duvall in third. Duvall actually working his way around Caleb Russell, and Caleb Russell pitted for fuel and an air filter on the last trip through VP Fuels Pro Row. Mikey Waynes is actually out and about, and he is going to get us an update on the, as he put it, the world of air filters, fuel, lions and tigers, and bears, oh my. So many things happening here at this Mason-Dixon GNCC. You can see these guys have now checked in. They have worked their way through the scoring tent with 3 laps now complete. What you're seeing on screen, Josh Strang on the 114 Monster Energy Babbitt's Online Kawasaki in the second place spot, and Thad Duvall up into third. The return to action after nearly a year away from racing. We last saw Thad in action at round 1 in South Carolina. He tried to make a go of it, had an off-season knee injury, was not able to complete the race, and made the decision right there and then that day to have surgery, get himself back to 100%. And I'll tell you what, if this is any indication, I think we've got 100% Thad Duvall.
Yeah, I agree, Johnny. I happened to see him this morning at the hotel at breakfast, and yeah, he said he feels pretty good most of the time, and you know, obviously racing's different than practicing, but he looks really good to me. And you know, I think it's, as we all know, coming out of injury is really tough. Your timing's off, the confidence is down. All the other guys have been toughened up and really focused on riding their best, and having time off the bike's a little tough. But you know, Thad's been at this a long time, one of the top riders by far, and knows what he's doing, so he looks good to me.
Yeah, he looks great at the moment. And you know, Mark, we'll throw this question to you. Lane Michael, we're now 1 hour 26 minutes into this, so for all intents and purposes, we're halfway through this race. This is by far the longest he has ever led an overall GNCC event. What kind of pressure do you think is he feeling? I know it's hard to speculate exactly how everyone works, but I mean, this is a guy who's raced GNCC since a youth rider and has never led a GNCC overall for this amount of time. Nearly halfway through this one, what do you think's going through his mind? And if you're kind of putting messages on his pit board, what are you doing to coach this guy through to get him to just keep kind of doing what he's doing?
I think the big thing for him is not to focus on I'm leading. He needs to really, you know, dissect the track, figure out his lines, you know, and make sure he makes good, solid decisions. And the biggest thing for him is not to panic. Because sometimes you come up on a lapped rider or something, you feel like you're stuck behind him for a minute when it's just a split second. And then that can snowball on you, and then you'll make a bad decision next because you think you just lost 20 seconds when it was just fractions. And then another thing, his pit crew, like I said, they need to inform him of his lap times. And he doesn't need to think about, oh, I got 2 laps left or whatever. I said, hey, I got this section, I got to nail this. You know, and there's going to be sections out there on that track where it's difficult, more difficult than others. So those are the places you really need to focus on. And he also needs to pay attention on the lines, because there's lines that are going to go away. And then too, you'll notice out in the open, it's not quite as dusty because we do have a little bit of a breeze. So when you're out there and you can really hammer down, that's when you got to go. When you're in the stuff that's really gnarly, you know, catch your breath, pick your good lines, and then go. But the mental thing, I think, is going to come more to him when that 2-lap card comes out, and if people start putting pressure on him. So if somebody gets up on his rear wheel and starts attacking him, then he's going to really start thinking about what he's doing and what he can accomplish.
Well, Mark, you pointed out lap times there, and actually Lane doing very well that last lap on the lap times. He actually opened up that gap. It was 16 seconds at the completion of lap number 2, 27 seconds over Josh Strang at the completion of lap number 3. But looking down through the lap times, there was actually one rider on track who was considerably faster than everybody else, Ben Kelly. All the way back in that, Ben would have been in the 6th place spot, worked his way up from outside the top 10, and he actually had a fuel stop this lap and an air filter change. Still 7 seconds faster than anybody else on the track. Second fastest rider, Lane Michael, your leader. So Ben Kelly putting in some moves back there. So he'll be a rider to watch, as he is currently only 3 seconds behind Caleb Russell, who's only 3 seconds behind Stu Baylor, who's only 6 seconds behind Thad Duvall, who's only 1 second behind Josh Strang. So you want to talk about the dust and how we're expecting to see these big gaps. We're not seeing it, folks. What we're seeing is bike lengths, and these guys are just eating each other's dust. Now, they just checked in at the finish line, which means in a matter of minutes, we should be seeing them here in VP Fuels Pro Road. This may be the tail of the tape for a lot of these guys. Halfway through this, a lot of these guys are going to be on a one-pit strategy. We did not see Lane Michael in the pits. There is Lane Michael right now at the 2-mile marker, which means he's just less than a minute away from the VP Fuels Pro Row. He's actually coming down. Right now, he's going to be popping up behind our RacerTV studio, and then he's going to come around the front, head into VP Fuels Pro Row. He is still leading the way with a 27-second gap, meaning as long as they have a good, clean fuel stop, he's going to be in and out before the other riders even enter into VP Fuels Pro Row. But the real question, Josh Strang did not fuel last lap, did not take an air filter. Here he is on screen, still in that 2nd place spot. Will they be able to get him out of the pits with an air filter, or are they just going to fuel him? That rider, Thad Duvall, the 989 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna, in the 3rd place spot. Stu Baylor on the 514 NFAB AM Pro Yamaha there in the 4th place spot, and then 5th place Caleb Russell. And look at that, Ben Kelly right up to the rear wheel of Caleb Russell. We just talked about that lightning quick lap time. A lot of these guys, Caleb Russell, Ben Kelly, will not have to pit this lap. So if Stu Baylor and Thad Duvall, well, Thad Duvall, we believe, pitted last lap. We'll find out. Mikey's down in the pits. Mikey, if you got any updates for us, ring him in. But we're going to watch here at the 2-mile marker, and hopefully we're going to get a shot of these guys, as they should be right now entering into VP Fuels Pro Row.
Yeah, and I think to add to your point and Mark's, you know, I think I counted 19 seconds now between Lane and 2nd, so it might be pretty tight. And like you said, it's going to be tough with how much you can gain or lose with that silt, is why it usually becomes a parade unless you can get by lappers a little bit differently. So, you know, I think a lot of these guys could go a lot faster if they could see, right? As all 3 of us know, being racers from a long time. But when you can't see, you can only go so fast to the dust, and then a little bit of Russian roulette, whether you pull the trigger or not, and you might be on the track or off the track pretty quickly and not know to the end.
Here it is. Lane Michael is in. They've got that IMS dump can in hand. I do not see an air filter. Looks like they're just going to do a gas and go. He's got some fresh goggles going on there, some Scott goggles, and he is wanting to get out and still be in that lead. Hopefully he knows he's got a little bit of a gap, but he wants to be on his way. He does not want to lose that position, and he holds on to it. He's still got the lead out, and there is that Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki team. Are they ready for Josh Strang? Is he coming in this lap? They're pointing, saying here he comes. Let's see, folks. Here he is. He's in. What are we doing?
He's
Bike
off
on
the
the stand. He's going for an air filter. This is going to be the tail we watch here. 1 hour, 32 minutes, 11 seconds. They put that bike on a stand. Let's see how quick they can get this filter done.
Hey, while you guys are watching Strang down there, I'm down here with Stu Baylor. He's getting fuel, no air filter. They're inspecting her. But Stu Baylor off and rolling, and he's going to get around Strang.
Boy, Mark, we remember these days, don't we? When Rodney Smith and myself would come in and need to change air filters here. I remember one year, last lap, Fred Andrews, Rodney Smith, and I came in the lead, and our boss at the time, Mike Webb, said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "I just really want to get going," because I looked so distraught. But I ended up winning. But it feels like a million hours, doesn't it, as racers, when you're sitting there waiting for the I can't actually get it back together.
And you know, you can see these guys are doing a great job, but it's really just the design of this filter that differs so much from the KTM and the Husky. I mean, Josh Strang is just sitting there helpless saying, guys, I've been racing. I understand we got to do a filter, but I'm losing a lot of time here. But this one is going much smoother. It looks like they're going back together. They're realigning that side panel, and it looks like they may be putting the bolt back in already, which means he is going to be out and still within probably top 6, 7 position. But when you're sitting in second to lose 5 spots in the pits, that's a hard one to take. I'm sure he's going to hope that's his only air filter change today, and he's able to make it to the finish from there. Much quicker, though, that time. We must point out that looked like it went pretty smoothly.
Yeah, the big thing here, though, is the KTM guys, they have to make Caleb Russell aware of what's happening here, because that could be the difference between a title today or a title at Ironman for Caleb. He needs to drop the hammer. He knows he's in front of Strang now, and he needs to go. As far as Lane Michael, Lane really doesn't have anything to lose today, so he can gamble on not doing an air filter. If it runs the distance, great. And remember, he had 3 clear laps with no dust, so he's got that on his side. So that's probably why they're not going for the filter. And Randy Hawkins, another one of our good friends, 7-time national enduro champ, he's heading up that team there, and Randy knows how to make some good decisions. So they're probably just rolling the dice like, hey, Lane, you've been in clear air for 3 laps. Let's go, see what happens.
And as you pointed out, there's a lot of information available coming in. Mike Wachowski now in the pits. Also, no air filter, just fuel for Wachowski. That is your XC2 Pro Lights leader. The Ampro team and a lot of these teams obviously have information from previous races. I know in speaking with Auntie Collin, Liam Draper actually raced just across. There is Strang. Wow, that is, you know, seems like an eternity. I mean, he is, we'll have to wait and see what the time is, but we're not talking a few seconds here. I mean, he is well outside of that top 5 now, and having to claw his way back up there. Caleb Russell with Strang dropping back. Caleb Russell should have probably, we're conjecture here, but we think he probably passed Stu Baylor in the pits because Stu had to fuel. He was right behind Stu. If he did pass Stu, that would move him up into 3rd. And with Strang being outside of the top 5, depending on just where he finishes and how that goes, that could be enough for Caleb to wrap up this championship. But folks, Josh Strang's not done yet. When he knows he has the opportunity to keep this championship alive going into the next round at Ironman, he's going to be fighting, scraping, and clawing. Wouldn't be surprised if we see him claw his way back up into a podium finish, that's for sure. And you know, it's what a dynamic race and even pit strategy here with all these air filters and everything that's going on. And actually, I think we have Mikey Waynes down in the Babbitt's Kawasaki Monster Energy pits with team manager Fred Andrews. Mikey, you there?
I'm here. Thanks, Johnny G. Down here in the Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Cowie pits. It's been a good day for you guys so far with the Youth Championship. You guys had to change a couple air filters, which we all expected out of everybody today. Talk to us a little bit about the strategy behind that, Fred.
Yeah, you know, it's really dusty today, and I don't think anybody can go without changing an air filter. So we had to stop. We figured lap 2 when we got fuel. I'm sorry, lap 3 we would do it. So we stopped Josh on lap 3. We changed an air filter. We filled him up with gas. Our bike's a little bit harder than the rest. We don't have a quick detached side panel, so we got to take some bolts out of the frame to get it in, and we got a screw-in filter. But, you know, we did as quick as we could, and Josh is really riding well. So, you know, your bike's got to make it to the finish. So we put a filter in, we're good to go. And now Josh is just going to have to do his work.
So you say good to go. You got the 1 filter change. We got to be close to that halfway point at this point.
Yeah, we're halfway probably. You know, Jordan stopped the lap earlier. He got into some water somewhere. If you can imagine where there's water out there, I don't know. So we had to do him a lap earlier. So we're hoping he can go till the end. They're both fueled up. We got Lyndon. He's on the 250X. He's 3rd place right now. We just gave him gas. He didn't need an air filter. So we're going to see what happens and, you know, the best we can do with the conditions that we have.
Nailed it right there. Fred, thank you. We'll take it back to you guys in the booth.
There you go. And that Monster Energy Babbitt's Online Kawasaki team, Fred Andrews at the helm. You couldn't ask for a better guy to be making those decisions for you. A lot of experience, almost as much experience as these 2 guys in the booth with me here. I'm just a quad guy surrounded by dirt bike gurus trying to act like I know what I'm talking about. But, you know, he pointed out there, you got to work with what you have. That Kawasaki is a phenomenal motorcycle. Josh has been riding very well. He's won a race already this year. You know, when the engineers design these dirt bikes, they don't necessarily take into consideration quick air filter changes because that's not a part of normal racing. But, you know, companies like KTM that have kind of evolved within this realm of racing, you know, have taken that into account and said, hey, you know, in off-road racing, sometimes you have to do quick air filter changes. Lane Michael on screen at the 5-mile marker, still leading the way. Be interesting to see if we can see 137.40. He comes by that string of banners there. See if we can see what the gap is back to that 2nd place rider. And now we know 2nd place place rider, Caleb Russell. He's made his way around Thad Duvall. He's made his way around Stu Baylor, and hot on his heels is Ben Kelly. Actually, not Trevor Bollinger. He's not back yet. Thad Duvall. There is Caleb Russell, your second place rider. So about 23 seconds was the gap going there as it came in. Second place, Caleb Russell. Third place, Thad Duvall. Fourth place, Ben Kelly. So there it is, 2, 3, 4. On screen, and we are receiving word from our RacerTV producer and there is Stu Baylor now. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, all within sight of each other. About 23 seconds back of Lane Michael, who's leading the way. We have received confirmation, 6-lap race. So now these guys are out working on lap number 4. We're just past halfway, and man, this one's really starting to get exciting. A lot of things on the line here. We've got championships on the line in the XC1 class. We've obviously got the points lead in that XC2 class. We'll check in with those guys here on screen, hopefully in just a moment at the 5-mile marker. Last we knew, it was Mike Wachowski leading the way in that one. But man, so many things happening, guys. A lot of exciting things going on here, and we're only just barely past halfway into this one.
Yeah, and with Caleb Russell, I think Caleb's in a great position right now because, as we all know, Caleb, I think he hates losing more than he likes winning. And with the knee, I think in this pace early on, he's made some great moves here. He's put himself in great position. And, you know, he rides with Lane Michael all the time, so he's comfortable with that. He's got Thad Duvall, a semi-teammate behind him, Ben Kelly, another teammate behind him there. So when push comes to shove, the guys that he's racing with right now, he's confident that nothing bad is going to happen if, you know, he has to stuff a wheel on somebody, or he's not going to expect that from them. So I think he's in a real comfortable spot, and mentally Caleb's as tough as they come. And I think if you could have told him going into this race with the condition he was in, like, hey, halfway through you're going to be in second place, you know, would you take that? And Caleb was like, yep, and then I'll probably run down the leader and win.
Yeah, you know, I actually had the opportunity to speak with Caleb quite a bit this week and last week as well after his injury. You know, just kind of checking in with him to see how things are going. There is Jordan Ashburn. So now he has worked his way back up a little bit, but still trying to climb his way back into the top 10 overall, because when you mix in the XC2 guys, it's difficult to figure, but there is XC2. Oh, look at that. That's a battle for the overall, or the XC2 lead right there. It's, oh, whoa, third place in XC2. Lyndon Snodgrass, this is a rider we've been waiting to see something from. You know, Mark, I know you have done multiple, fourth place in XC2 on screen, Craig DeLong. So 3 of the heavy hitters. Actually, the rider we're missing there is Johnny Girard. Did he come through?
I think he was third, wasn't he?
Was he third?
No.
Okay, I may have missed him. I saw Cody Barnes and then Snodgrass. I didn't see Girard, but if he did come through, I missed him. So that's 5 riders that we've already seen come through there in just about a 15-second span of time. And again, that is the XC2 battle for the championship that's playing out on screen. And Mark, you know, Lyndon Snodgrass, a rider, I've kind of talked about him a few times throughout the year. Steve, I know you've probably followed his progress as well. This is a world-class sprint enduro rider. He comes from the Australian Enduro Series and Off-Road Series as well there, and has done phenomenally at the International 6 Days Enduros a number of times for Team Australia, being on that gold medal winning team. And, you know, he's got the speed. A lot of people kind of expected maybe a little more from him so far, but, you know, I know he's been up in Ohio. He actually came and rode at Walker Fowler's place a couple times in the last few weeks to get used to the dirt. And, you know, how hard is it? Obviously, we've talked about our guys having to go over and do 6 days, which is a completely different format. Obviously, it's worked out pretty well for them a few times in the last few years. But what's it like for a guy like that coming into a format like this, something completely different, all new riders to race against? How does that work out mentally for you guys?
Well, when you come in here from another place, you know, we know he's a good rider because of what he's done. The big thing is getting used to the format and the other racers, because a lot of the times that I've talked to people that have come here to race, the talent usually where they're coming from, they're kind of like the big fish in the little pond, and now they're maybe still a big fish, but they're in a much bigger pond. So the level of consistency of the top riders, there's just so much more guys packed together, and that's what they struggle with. And also the pace right out of the gate, you know, to go this fast over terrain for 3 hours for that long. And, you know, I just want to talk about Steve here just for a quick second. You know, we talk about 6 day specialist and everything. Steve was a world champion in 1991 on our junior team over in Czechoslovakia. So he's got experience going the other way too. So he can speak to that probably a little better than I can on this.
Well, Steve, let's hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I think
91. How long ago was that?
Man, geez, there was dinosaurs on the special test tracks. I'm pretty sure that we'd have to get out of the way. But now, a lot of fun for sure. Oh, you're right. Darn it. There's Johnny G right there. The other Johnny G. Ooh. So Yeah, it's tough either direction, like you said, Mark. And I think the other thing, too, to add to the question, that Johnny put, I think the format of 3 hours, as all three of us know, is brutal. So I don't care how good shape you are. It's a learning curve of knowing in perfect conditions with ego dirt, having fun and being 60 degrees and sunny, you could probably ride at 100% the whole time. But as you learn with silt, with dust, with heat, with your body, with your mentality, with your bike, with the air filters, if you have a 10-second break, sometimes that's the same, it feels like an hour, and you feel rekindled. So like Ben Kelly having a great race on that one lap, or a great lap time, doesn't surprise me. So what you got to figure out is putting all those laps together. I remember personally going from 2 hours to 3 hours, felt like an extra 4 weeks on my motorcycle. I remember getting done and flopping over, and my buddy at the time, Ray, and he just said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I don't think so. I never want to do one of those again." And he drugged me by my boots into the van and threw me in all muddy, and still just took my helmet off. And we were halfway to New York before I even got consciousness. So it's a whole different level of fitness.
So obviously the fitness is a consideration. Lyndon's been here now for several months. He's had the opportunity to race many of these 3-hour races. So basically you guys are saying it's not so much the terrain, it's not so much really even the different riders that he's racing against. It really truly is just the format of the event.
I totally think so. I mean, we know he's a great racer. Like results, you can't. I always say you can't fake lap times, and you can't fake fitness. So those are two things. And in this sport, the GNCCs, you have to have both, and you have to be really, really learning it. And I think it takes a while to learn how fast you can go with your body, with the type of conditions on the track also, to your point. But I think also it's one of those things. Yeah, there's Ricky Russell there. I was talking to him earlier today, so it's good to see him back.
Ricky Russell on screen joined us in the booth just 2 weeks ago, telling us about his plans to return to racing here very soon. Obviously having a very scary injury earlier this year, but he has made a full recovery as far as his health goes. Now he's working on his fitness. He's still on some blood thinners, so they just don't want him to take the chance of going out there and something happening. So he is just taking the rest of the season off, it sounds like. Should be able to get back on his dirt bike sometime in November, and he'll be full gas and ready to go for that next year, which we're hearing. I think he may be a part of a new team. I don't know if that's all common information yet, but I think he'll be back with that Coastal team or working on it, and they may have a new color for next year from some indications. So we're here at the 5-mile marker. There's Evan Earl, another one of our XC1 riders, riding for that Kyler Lenz Motorsports Kawasaki team. New team. They just actually joined us for the first race at the last one. So great to have more support, more riders in that XC1 class. And yeah, we were waiting there at the 8-mile marker. We did not yet see the leaders, but we do know it should still be Lane Michael, as far as we know. Round about a 20-second gap over the second-place rider. Now Caleb Russell, third place, we believe. Last we knew. Oh, it looks like they've come by, and see what we see on screen. A lot of dust.
Another thing, Johnny, on the 3-hour race, something that a lot of people don't. Yeah, Lane went through. There's Caleb running in second still in a good spot. Is the changing track conditions. When you go and do sprint enduros and things like that, the lines are pretty consistent. Here, the track, one lap to the next lap could be completely different. And when we see some guys here point some lines, those guys aren't everywhere on the whole track. And to memorize a track for a 10, 12-mile track that's changing constantly throughout the day, that's another aspect. And setting your bike up for that, because do you set your bike up to be good for the first hour and a half or the last hour and a half or somewhere in the middle? So that's another part of the learning curve that guys don't realize, is how much you have to learn to read terrain and changing terrain, and also set your bike up to work over such a vast array of terrain that you're going to be riding through that's going to change from start to finish.
Well, what started this conversation was speaking about the number 178 Monster Energy Babbitt's Online Kawasaki rider Lyndon Snodgrass, a European rider coming from Australia, who is now running in the top 3 overall, and he has been just absolutely just kind of climbing steadily, and today we're seeing him battle for a top 3 amongst the championship leaders. I believe we're going to take a little break here. We're going to come back. We're going to have some more action. There's Andrew DeLong, the 410 Racing Phoenix Honda racing machine, and we'll be back with more action after this. And Josh Strang was your second place rider. We'll see if he can climb up there and keep that championship fight alive when we come back.
When you crave the canyon passes, rocky trails, rutted tracks, the podiums and personal records. It becomes part of you. The choice now is, do you become a wanderer or the wanderer? You just need to ride where you belong.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
It's hard to put our adventures on hold, but now is the perfect time to prepare for their return. AMSOIL has your back with fast, free shipping, and ordering has never been easier. Just look up your vehicle, select your product, add an oil change to your cart, and check out. Spend $50 on AMSOIL products and shipping is on us. Order now at AMSOIL.com.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lee, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young, and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
At the last race, the Burr Oak GNCC, it was a little bit unfortunate. I had a crash there halfway through the second lap. I just kind of got off my line and smacked a tree and hit the top part of my leg. Yeah, it was pretty painful at the time, and I knew something was definitely wrong. And went and got it checked out. I ended up tearing my PCL and my meniscus, and got some other strains and sprains inside my leg and around my upper, or my knee and my leg area. So it's definitely tough. It's been, you know, I've torn my ACL, my other leg, and I was able to ride through it with it torn before I ended up getting it repaired. But just you know, a little bit of age on me, I can tell like my body isn't actually healing as fast as I did, you know, 5 years ago. It's in the 2 weeks that I've had to get ready for this race, it's been tough. It's still a little bit swollen, stiff, and kind of awkward feeling. And it's you know, it's part of racing. Stuff happens. You know, 2020 wouldn't end any other way. I don't guess. So it's the way this year's shaping up. But we're gonna muscle through it and try to get the job done. And like I said, I'm gonna go out Sunday and give it my best. And you know, that's all I can ask for.
Well, there you heard it straight from the horse's mouth. Caleb Russell having a unfortunate come together with a tree 2 weeks ago at the, I keep wanting to call it John Penton, but the Burr Oaks GNCC in the John Penton section. He actually, in speaking with him after the race, he basically had said he kind of forgot which line he was in, basically. He thought he was on the outside. He was actually on the inside, and there was a tree on the outside of that inside, ended up smashing his knee between his bike and that tree at a high rate of speed. We talked about it on the last show. Josh Strang, the man he's battling for a championship, actually stopped and helped him get out of the course so nobody else hit him. Just goes to show, I mean, these are the best, some of the best off-road motorcycle racers in the world out there. Still have the compassion and decency for each other. Bitter enemies on the track, but you know, when somebody's in harm's way, you're going to make sure he's good to go. And we wait for the leaders here at the 11-mile marker at the FMF Power Point. We're expecting to see the number 523 of Lane Michael and leading, which would be now 4 laps after starting this one out front, battled right down for that hole shot, and there he is, still leading the way. And he's got a little dust in front of him now, but that's from a lapped rider, and Lane's still looking solid, Mark.
Yeah, you know, and for Lane, this could go one of two ways. Either he's been out front, he's thinking about it too much, and Caleb catches him. Or I was thinking the other way this could go is he's out front, and the longer he stays out front, the more confidence he gets, and that could carry him to the finish. But now that Caleb and the gang have caught him, we're going to see how this holds up, because like I said, he hasn't had any pressure on. Now Caleb knows it's go time, and you know, there's nothing like a championship to really motivate you. And that's another thing that Caleb really has going for him. I mean, it's one thing to go out there and give it an effort and really try, but when you know you could have your 8th straight national championship, you know, something that nobody's ever done. And I know Caleb announced early, like he said, I want to tell everybody this is my last year so they give me their best shot.
Yep.
And Caleb would nothing more that he'd like than to win it today, a little banged up, and just say, hey guys, I told you I was coming. I took it. I did what I came here to do. And you just can't say enough about this kid. I mean, his dad, Jeff, I've known Jeff and raced Jeff forever, and he's just an amazing guy. Won a National Enduro Championship. Caleb won a National Enduro Championship. but their whole family's just rock solid, and they're, you know, his grandfather Howard, just a super good people, who's where the Burr Oak takes place. So to see Caleb do this, and you know, when I was a sales rep for KTM earlier in my days before doing the Ride Orange program, he was one of my sport riders. So it's great to see a kid like that come up through the ranks and just to dominate like he has, like nobody ever has in GNCC racing. So
eight championships, you know, 8 championships coming from such a pedigree that he does. You know, this is a racing family. Jeff Russell, as you pointed out, has been instrumental in the American effort in ISDE. Obviously, Caleb, Jeff, I believe, has 1 GNCC win. I know he has at least 1 because I actually have his goggles from that race. I caught him as a little boy. But there we see Caleb on screen again. Lane Michael still leading the way, the 523 Ampro Yamaha, leading the way in this one, but he is being chased by the one rider no one on this course wants to be chased by. That guy right there, number 1 FMF KTM, 7-time champion, and if he makes this pass and holds it to the finish line, 8-time GNCC champion, Caleb Russell. Again, the Russell family, synonymous with GNCC, and, you know, Mark, when we talk about that Russell pedigree, Crew Russell is now racing. I mean, are we looking at maybe he could down the road be a guy that's up here battling for wins in XC1, or who knows, maybe by then it'll be called EXC1 because it'll be electric motorcycles. But yeah, I mean, just such a cool story. But he does still have pressure from behind, now coming in the form of his teammate, the number 530 of Ben Kelly in that 3rd place spot. And man, he's hard on the hammer. We pointed out a few laps ago, he actually had the fastest lap time. And as we look at the lap times from lap number 4, it is Lane Michael still leading the way with a 31:27. 30:56 for Caleb Russell, only 8 seconds behind. Ben Kelly with a 30:57, and he is now 4.6 seconds behind Caleb Russell. As we saw on screen, it may be even a little bit closer than that right now. He is up to the rear wheel of Caleb Russell, but it was Caleb Russell with the fastest lap time out of, no, I'm sorry, that was lap 3. We had Josh Strang with the 30:29, but that actually, he has not yet checked in with 4 laps complete. As we refresh, we do have our top, now we've got him in. So we'll run down the top 10 as they run in the overall. It's Lane Michael leading the way, Caleb Russell 2nd, Ben Kelly in 3rd, Thad Duvall in that 4th place spot, only 0.8 of a second behind Ben Kelly when they checked in scoring, so very much in the battle for a podium. Only another 5 seconds back is Stu Baylor, and then it's 1 minute and 5 seconds back to Andrew DeLong in that 5th place overall spot. Stu Baylor is in 5th, 6th place is Andrew DeLong. So there's where your break is. Your top 5 are all within about 20 seconds, and then it's 1 minute back to Andrew DeLong. Still a very solid race for him today in that 6th place spot. Only a minute out of the top 5, and then it's your leader in that XC2 Pro Lights class of Mike Wachowski, followed by Grant Baylor, and it looks like Craig DeLong in the 9th place overall spot has actually worked his way into 2nd in that XC2 250 Lights class, so he is up into 2nd there, and look at this, Jordan Ashburn 10th, Josh Strang 11th as they run. So that's those 2 guys both up within the top 3. Actually, Ashburn was in 4th, but Strang was in 2nd, Ashburn was in 4th. They're now back to 10th and 11th after those lengthy pit stops for air filter changes. But still a lot of racing left. A lot of those guys in front of them still have pit stops ahead of them. As Fred Andrews let us know, it looks like those guys are both good to go, ready to make it to the finish on both fuel and air filters. So they may be able to pick up a few spots there.
Yeah. Hey, Johnny, to jump in for you right there. Standing down here at the KTM pits right now, it is literally, I think, the who's who of KTM here at the GNCC, but they're both prepared. They are all prepared, I should say. Ben Kelly, Caleb Russell, both going to be pitting. Looks like Ben Kelly's going to be getting the air filter change, and then should be pitting directly in front of him would be Caleb Russell. Fresh set of goggles and some fuel.
Well, we've seen them come through the scoring there, which means we'll next see them at the 2-mile marker, and then when we see them next after that, it'll be right here in VP Fuels Pro Row at the factory KTM pits. There was, that looked to be Kelly possibly,
Kelly, yeah.
Or Thad Duvall, and there is Stu Baylor, so hard to tell, was that Kelly or was that Duvall possibly?
It looked like Kelly to me. Another thing that...
Yeah. Oh, it was, so Baylor... Baylor has now gotten around Thad Duvall up into 4th, and Duvall back to 5th, still within striking distance of the podium, though. And again, we don't know where Thad is at on air filter changes. We don't know if he's already done one, if he is going to do one. So, man, so many things shaking out. And what we're seeing on screen right here looks to be Caleb Russell. Hot on his heels is Ben Kelly. So that is 2nd and 3rd as they run. They're coming across the road here and back into this little wood section, and they will be soon working their way to the VP Fuels Pro Row.
Another big thing with this, Johnny, is Auntie is going to have his calculator out over there, because you look where Josh Strang is now, where Caleb is now. The championship is clearly in Caleb's firm grasp. So if so now they really got to work on their strategy, make sure he keeps that points gap and keeps enough riders between himself and Strang so he can wrap the title. And he's got big pressure because, as you well know, Zach Osborne is now the 450 outdoor motocross champion.
I didn't watch it yet. I didn't get the opportunity to watch it.
I don't care.
We're on social media.
We are so excited that Zach, because Zach, a GNCC guy, he races, a 6-day veteran and stuff. So we were so excited that Zach won the outdoor championship for us. And Caleb, probably won't want to be outdone, so we might have a twofer this weekend. And here comes Caleb into the pits. He's going for an air filter.
Speaking of twofers, we got a twofer in the KTM pits. They're doing an air filter change, fuel. Caleb Russell getting himself something to drink. I assume he got some fresh goggles, although I did not check there. So the next rider coming would be Stu Baylor. Ben Kelly beats Caleb Russell out of the pits. You see a little head shake there, and he did not want to get beat out of the pits by his teammate Ben Kelly, but at the same time, so it does not. Mikey, you're down there. What do you got for us, Mikey?
Can confirm for you, Stu Baylor able to get around both of those guys here in the pro pit, so he is out in front of both Ben Kelly and Caleb Russell right now.
And there we saw that very thing going the opposite way on the other side of the fence was Stu Baylor, now into the 2nd place spot. So it's the Yamahas 1 and 2 with Lane Michael out front, Stu Baylor in 2nd, Ben Kelly able to get around his teammate Caleb Russell in the pits there for 3rd, and Caleb Russell in 4th. Now, with Caleb Russell in 4th, Josh Strang back in 11th place, that would still be enough points if they continue to run there and finish there. That would still be enough points for Caleb to wrap up the championship. When we talk about wrapping up the championships, we're joined now in the booth by Becca Sheets, our newly crowned as of today WXC 2020 champion. Becca, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Pretty excited to have wrapped up the championship today, that's for sure.
What were the conditions like out there? We're watching on screen these guys. We've seen a crazy race with air filter changes. And what was it like for you out there today? I think you had a little bit of chaos of your own.
Yeah, definitely a chaotic day, but the track itself is just super gnarly. It's so bumpy, and the silt is just so deep, and you have no idea what's underneath what you're riding in most of the time. And it's the slower riders that go up like through these sections that just kind of churn up the dirt and create these super, super deep silt hills, berms just kind of everywhere. And if you're behind somebody and they're roosting you, it's kind of like similar to Florida where you get roosted and just kind of rained on with sand. Only the silt is just like this heavy, dry mud, and it gets in your mouth, your goggles, everywhere. And it's just really kind of hard to fight, and you just have to fight for vision, really. And you definitely don't want to get past if you're in a battle like Caleb Russell.
So a lot of things going on for Caleb Russell, obviously having to make that pit for the air filter, kind of a known quantity coming in. I know you had quite a bit of chaos yourself today, championship on the line. You knew what you had to do coming in, and I think you spent a little bit of time in the pits yourself today. How did they go for you?
Yeah, all I had to do today was get 6th place, which for me typically would not be a challenge. And I was in the lead on, I think, the 3rd lap, and a lapper just kind of came to a complete stop in front of me in a pretty high speed corner, and I smashed into him and just busted my radiator wide open. So I knew what I did, and as soon as I saw the pits, I just turned in the pits and found you, and as soon as I could, and I was like, Johnny, come on, we got to bust the radiator. And we went back to the pits and made that radiator swap. Luckily, we had my practice bike here for a backup, and I was able to still go out and finish 4th place today. So it was very fortunate, because I definitely thought my day was over.
So when you have that much on the line, obviously on a day where you can wrap up the championship, how much are you racing the race for what it is versus really racing for a championship? And obviously relating that to Caleb Russell right now, Mark, you pointed out, he's probably getting pit boards to let him know that Josh Strang is back in that 11th place spot. So Becca, tell us a little bit about what it's like having that extra weight, and does it really change how you race the track and how you race your competitors?
I definitely don't think it changes, because you know, we still have a couple rounds left, and I was out there racing to win today, and I'm sure Caleb's out there. I mean, obviously he's got that injury, so I'm sure he's not taking any unnecessary risks, but if he didn't have that, he would be out there to win just like any other race.
Well, you know, we're watching on screen here at the 4-mile marker. Lane Michael, the 523 machine. If there was one rider he did not want behind him, it's probably that guy right there, his teammate. We said that about Caleb as well, but if there's anybody who's just carrying a little bit extra swagger, a little bit extra momentum, a little bit extra energy, it's the number 541 of Stu Baylor. And so we've got Caleb Russell there in 4th. Ben Kelly did just come by in front of him in 3rd. So we've got the top 4 all real close. And this guy right here, 989. The Rockstar Racing Husqvarna team of Thad Duvall. And speaking of the team, we actually just heard word that it does not appear that Thad Duvall is going to do an air filter switch today. So I assume he has already made his pits and he is good to go to the finish. When we come through at the end of this next lap, there will be a white flag waving. These guys are on lap number, or I'm sorry, it'll be yes, they are on lap 5. So it'll be a white flag waving when they come through at the completion of this lap number 5. But, you know, Becca, the track out there, I was out there this morning during your race. Mark, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to get out into the woods much, but, you know, I made the very unfortunate estimation or guesstimate earlier this week, speaking with some people who were here just across the street last week for a team race. And they said, oh, it's so dusty, it's so silty. And I said, well, as bad as it is, there's no chance that it could be worse than it was 1 year ago here. And I think I'm going to have to eat those words along with a whole lot of dust. What were your thoughts out there as far as the conditions of the course?
I definitely think that this year was way worse because I don't remember it being so heavy last year for our race. You know, obviously the afternoon had issues last year with bikes blowing up.
I'm sorry to cut you off. A new leader, Stu Baylor, the number 514 and Pro Yamaha, has taken over the lead from his teammate, Lane Michael. Lane just behind him there in 2nd. Looking like something must have transpired there in just that few turns, basically, where we didn't see him. So a shake up there for the lead. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Becca.
Oh, that's okay. There's a couple lines, actually, between here and there, so I'm sure he just kind of chose a better one. Mistakes are they're happening very often in all of the racers, I'm sure, because even when I was battling with Rachel Archer today and Guttish, you know, you're just behind him for just a minute, and it doesn't take much to knock him out of place and change positions with anybody.
So what's the visibility out there like there? You know, we can see on screen, obviously, in our camera shots. Are you able to see where you're going, and it's kind of more just you're trying to stay out of the dust to save the bike and you not having to ingest the dust, or is it really affecting your visibility as well?
It's not really that bad visibility-wise. Like, you can see it's just foggy, but something about it, because it's so heavy, doesn't create this, like, blind haze like we've had at the Penton a time or two. This dust kind of dissipates a little bit. It's just really bad when you're stuck behind someone, and as soon as they hit a turn, you're just kind of getting covered in silt, covering your bike, yourself, and so that's really what makes it hard. It's not necessarily the visibility. The thing that is hard with the visibility is the silt berms that, like, just cover the ground, and you can't see what's under the ground, basically.
And we've seen that so much as the course develops and as this race develops. There's different sections and different segments of this course, some of which are kind of that finer dust that floats a little bit longer in the air. Some of it's that heavier silt. And Mark, you know, we were watching just a little bit ago at that 8-mile marker when those guys were all coming in, and we talked about the different approaches to those corners. Some of the guys kind of checking up early, taking that inside line, staying out of the silt, presumably trying to save those air filters largely. And then also some of the guys that are kind of on the outside. Andrew DeLong there still running at a very solid 6th place spot. So a great ride for him, and just outside that top 5, and also still in that 6th place spot in the overall. We'll see if we can, I think we might be able to stay at this shot long enough that we will get, so there is Josh Strang now up to 7th place in the XC1 Pro class. So again, we're gonna have to get these calculators out on this last lap and figure out just where things are. He's actually made his way around his teammate, Jordan Ashburn, who when they checked in at the finish line was just 5 seconds ahead of him. So it looks like now they've kind of switched roles there. You know, knowing that there's a championship on the line, I'm sure Josh is gonna throw everything he has at this. They've told him he's good to go as far as filter and fuel. He's gonna give it everything he's got, try and at least keep this championship hope alive for one more round going into Ironman and take take it from there, because there's so many variables out there on the track. We were just talking there. Oh, here's our leader in XC2 Pro Lights, Mike Witkowski, and that is another rider battling for a championship along with Johnny Girard. Also, there is Grant Baylor, so another XC1 rider. That would be our 8th place rider in XC1, probably just outside the top 10 overall on corrected time. Craig DeLong, there we go, up into 2nd in that XC2 Pro 250 Pro class. And, you know, Mark, with so many variables going on here, 3rd place in XC2, Cody Barnes on the number 99 Factory Beta, with so many variables and championships on the line, how much are the crews really relaying information to the riders to let them know? We've talked about Caleb Russell. Obviously, in the situation of Mike Witkowski, it's a little bit different because he's kind of definitely not the underdog, but he's currently at a points deficit. You know, we know Johnny Girard all the way back in that 7th place spot last we heard. You know, how much information gets relayed back and forth between the crew and the rider? And again, are you really thinking championship, or are you just trying to get max points on a day like today?
I think in the XC2 class, what we're looking at is max points, because those guys, there's still 2 more races left after this round, and they're grouped tight enough together where every point matters. Up where Caleb and Strang are at, there could be a little bit more strategy, especially when we get down to the last lap. Does Caleb need to pass one guy to get a championship, or does he stay put and he's fine? So, and Strang's the same way. If, you know, they'll give him the word like, hey, you need to get one more guy before you can relax to take this to the next round, because you never know what's going to happen with racing. So we have 2 different classes and definitely 2 different strategies. And like Becca was saying on the race course out there, that powder and the silt gets so thick out there, it hides a bunch of stuff underneath you, and that could have been what happened to Lane Michael. He could be riding along, don't see anything on the ground, and there's something underneath that hits it, deflects you off the course into a tree, you know, or a bad line. You lose some time, and that was all it took for Stu to get around him.
There is Liam Draper, another rider within the top 5 in that XC2 class. And you know what? I know what you guys are talking about there. Obviously, with the ATV side of things, we have it a little bit different. We're kind of able to just plow over stuff to some degree. You still have to be cautious, but at the same time, I was out there this morning during that 10 a.m. race, and just before that silt hill we're seeing there at the 8-mile marker, actually I saw 2 riders just come into the berm, bury the front end, and immediately their bike came to a stop and they went over the handlebars. And I knew in my head, like, all right, something's got to be going on in there. So I walked down to the bottom of the hill and actually with my feet just kind of started pushing the silt around, and there was a rock, not exaggerating. It had to be twice the size of a basketball, and it was just hidden in the silt. So I actually went and started digging rocks out of those silt berms, you know, just because I was sick of having to go down there and pick people up. And
at
like
the 9-mile marker, that hill?
Wow, this was actually at the 8, but I did see the same thing at the 9.
Okay, yeah, where the monster can was.
Yep.
Yeah, that hill was so technical. Like, it didn't even have to be technical, but people were just dropping like flies in front of you.
And this is one of those things that's really hard to articulate to people. You know, Becca, we were talking about this after pedaling the track on Friday, and Tyler had said, when I said there's going to be a bottleneck at that 8-mile marker hill, he kind of looked at me like I was maybe speaking French and I didn't understand how to ride a dirt bike. And I get that, because looking at it before anyone starts riding it, was your XC2 Pro Lights leader. Mark, we might have to do some math for that XC2 Pro Lights class, because Johnny Girard was the points leader. Back now, it looks like he may be in that 6th place spot in XC2 with Mike Witkowski leading. There's Jesse Ansley just behind him, so he has gotten his way around Ansley. He was behind him last we saw, but he was in that 7th place spot. And shout out to Jesse Ansley. If he can finish that one up in 7th place in that XC2 Pro Lights class, that would be his best finish, I believe, to date in that class. But yeah, you know, when you look at these courses before the race weekend starts, a lot of these sections look very unassuming. They're just kind of, you know, oh, that hill's not so steep, and it's not. But when you get, you know, over 500 ATVs on the course yesterday, multiple laps in multiple races, and then today you've got the youth race. Well, the youth didn't run that section, but the morning race, then the afternoon. I mean, these courses are so chewed up. And like you guys talked about the silt, I thought it was interesting. Grant Baylor said it was like riding snow.
It is like riding snow. It's so unpredictable. And you know what? The quads really just churn it up nicely for us, because I think we'd be all right.
Whoa. I was taking a break because I got a little something in my throat and I need to drink water, but I have to defend myself. We make the track so much better. Now I'll wait and you guys can go ahead and bash that statement.
No, the quads do definitely open up some lines for us and make the track a little more raceable, that's for sure.
Mark just pointed out that gentleman there looked like was one of the team members, was actually moving some stuff out of the track that was buried in the silt berms, and here we see Stu Baylor. Folks, we haven't really talked much about this today, but Stu Baylor, 2 consecutive wins coming into this weekend, and now here he is coming to the white flag in the lead.
You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and give a shout out to, like, I think this track was made for Yamaha today. It's just a Yamaha kind of track. You need that KYB suspension, but it seems like Ben Kelly's keeping up no problem.
Yeah. Ben Kelly looking like he wants to throw a little orange into this blue party up front.
Yeah, he's just trying to mix it up a bit.
Caleb Russell has lost some ground, still there in that 4th place spot, but definitely having lost ground. You know, what we do here is we speculate and we configure.
This is that silt hill you were talking about where you were digging out boulders.
So if we had to speculate, do we think that Caleb Russell just knows points-wise he's in a good spot? Or is maybe that knee starting to become a factor as we're now 2 hours and almost 20 minutes into this race? You know, admittedly, obviously, not being able to spend much time on the bike the last 2 weeks, not really able to do any training at all. As of yesterday, pretty much said he could barely ride his pedal assist around to even check out the course. So, Mark, what are we figuring here on points? Do we have anything figured out just yet?
Well, right now, Caleb's running for it. And the further back you get in the points, then you gain less points. And right now, Caleb is running in 4th place, which would give him 18 points. For him to wrap the championship up, we would need Strang back in 8th place. That would be 13 points, so that would be the 5 points that Caleb needs. So if Caleb stays where he's at in 4th, Strang can do no better than 8th for Caleb to wrap the title up. So I'm sure they've got pen to paper over there, or their calculators going their phones and everything. And you know, for him, the further, like I said, the further he drops back, the tougher it makes him to gain those 5 points that he needs. And that could give Strang a little bit more motivation. But I'm sure if they give Caleb the pit board that you need one more spot on this last lap, Caleb will dig deep and give it everything he has to get that spot.
Absolutely, you know, and that's, again, it's that informational exchange between the you know, the crew and the rider themselves. They're trying to give them all the information that they need without giving them too much information, because ultimately they still need to focus on just riding their dirt bikes. So many guys out there riding their dirt bikes right now, racing their dirt bikes very competitively. We've got quite a few other classes out there on track as well. We're going to run down a few of those now. We know our XC1. We've seen those battles on screen. As we go back to our XC2 class, there is Andrew DeLong, and actually behind him looks to be, is that the number 114 of Josh Strang, who's now made his way up to the rear wheel? It is. Josh Strang on a mission, and that would be one more spot. That would be now 6th in that XC1 class. As you said, if Caleb stays in 4th, Strang would need to finish 8th or worse. But keeping in mind, we've also got the XC2 class that could factor into that as well, because it's overall positions for the championship, not class positions. So as we look back at our XC2 250 Pro class, and we see where those guys are running and what that looks like right now, the top 10 in that one, Mike Witkowski leading the way, Cody Barnes in 2nd, Craig DeLong in 3rd. There is Grant Baylor on screen at the 8-mile marker at that Monster Energy mile, and up the hill with no problems at all, taking that nice inside line, saving the filter on that machine. He doesn't want to have to make another filter change.
Listen, I did not see that line in the morning race. I tell you what, these pro guys, they definitely know how to make their lines, and that's something I wish I could learn as a racer. I mean, obviously I know how to make lines, but
I made that line.
It's something about these guys. They just know kind of how to pick it out and just go for it.
So there is a shakeup. We were just talking about that XC2 Pro Light, or Pro Lights class. There is 3rd place Cody Barnes on screen. Just in front of him, the 342 Rockstar Energy Racing Husqvarna of Craig DeLong into 2nd place in that class. Still leading the way, Mike Witkowski on the 282 Pro Yamaha. In the 4th place spot when they checked in at the completion of lap number 4, Liam Draper, Lyndon Snodgrass in 5th. And we'll be back with some more class rundowns, and also the very exciting finish to this one. There will be a white flag waving when we come back. And everybody tune in, get your popcorn ready, because this one's going to be a barn burner.
When you crave the canyon passes, rocky trails, rutted tracks, the podiums and personal records, it becomes part of you. The choice now is, do you become a wanderer or the wanderer? You just need to ride where you belong.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Chematic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Chematic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Chematic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment. Whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts depend on Chematic. Chematic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
Hi, I'm Mark Hyde with KTM, and I run our Ride Orange program. We're here at the GNCC today. Normally I run all our demo activities, but with the coronavirus, that's been kind of curtailed for the time being. And I was talking to the president of our company, John Hines, about what can we do to give back to the sport and help with things. And we've come up with this rig. We use it for our ARS events, which is the amateur motocross events. And we decided, since it's already stocked and ready to go, we would bring it to the GNCCs and offer the same support that we offer at the amateur motocross. So it's full of emergency parts if you need it. Also, we have people like myself and Mike Lafferty here, so if you need some technical advice, some riding tips, bike setup tips, we can provide that as well. Well, I used to race for KTM in Husqvarna, and then after that went to the work side of things and ended up working for Rodney Smith, wrenched for him for 7 years. We won 10 championships together, and then I got my job back at KTM, and like I said, it just kind of evolved over the years, and one thing led to another, and we ended up starting the demo program with KTM and getting that rolling off really well. And along with that, we do the amateur support things, which the same truck kind of does both of those events. So that's kind of how it all happened. Yeah, if you're interested in getting into the industry but not on a racing side of things, a lot of our mechanics have gone to the different training schools throughout the country, and then they put it. The best thing is to work at a dealership first to get some of that hands-on experience. But if you have the degree and everything, and that's where we get a lot of our mechanics through, is guys that have done the training, and then they've worked at a dealership and get to figure out how to do multiple brands and things like that, because you learn a lot that you wouldn't learn just working on new stuff all the time. So it's good to have that experience, because as a race mechanic or any mechanic in the industry, you have a lot of problems you need to figure out on your own by yourself. You can't sit there in front of a computer and look stuff up, so you got to think on your feet quick, and that really helps you do stuff like that.
Yeah, the last two races have gone really well. I was able to find myself up front really early in both tracks, and the bike's been getting off the line pretty good. It's just everything's been clicking. Obviously, the goal is top threes. As long as I'm on the podium, I'm happy, and it'd be great to click off another win. But just being up front, battling with those guys is good. I know tomorrow's going to be really tough. The track seems to be really one line, and as it stands, it looks like we're going to have a lot of silt berms, and the rain will be coming down right as we start. So that's going to throw a curveball into goggle prep, bike prep, everything. So it's really hard to set something up based on one condition when it could completely change mid-race, and that's where I think tomorrow is going to play out, or how it's going to play out. I think the weather's going to have a lot to do with it.
Well, folks, we're back here, and we're watching on cue Stu Baylor coming through the finish line chicanes, and waiting for him will be Ricky Towery with a white flag waving, meaning one lap between him and potentially 3 consecutive wins in GNCC racing. And Stu Baylor, having only ever won 2 races prior to just a month ago, is now 2 in a row, working on 3. White flag waving. This is it, folks. 2 hours, 26 minutes into this one. The pit board says you can do it. Stu Baylor's a guy I don't really know that you need to goad him on that much, but they're not taking any chances. They're going to let him know you can do it. He's gotten the lead. We will wait to see. We don't know if he's good on fuel, but we will find out here in a matter of just about 2 miles when they get to the VP Fuels Pro Row, and he has now shaken his tail. We'll wait and see here if Lane Michael is still continuing to run in that second place spot. He was your leader through 4 laps of racing. Stu Baylor able to get around, make the pass. Here we see Caleb Russell now into the finish line chicanes. Looks like he's got some heat from behind. Thad Duvall there right behind him. We'll watch Ben Kelly now into the second place spot, 13 seconds behind Stu Baylor. Lane Michael, as of a moment ago, had not yet checked in. There he is, Lane Michael, 22 seconds behind Ben Kelly. And Caleb Russell is now checked into scoring. We'll see what the gap is there. Caleb Russell taking a look over. 16 seconds he's got to make up to get to Lane Michael in that third place spot. Thad Duvall 1.5 behind. This is a visual we're not, unaccustomed to seeing. Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall battling. We're not necessarily as accustomed to seeing them battle over 4th and 5th. Typically we're looking at them battling for a win. Caleb obviously nursing an injury. He sustained at our last round 2 weeks ago. Thad Duvall coming back from a lengthy break from racing after an injury sustained over the offseason and proven to be a little bit too much for him to start the season with. Undergoing knee surgery, and I think, is that Stu Baylor? It is. That's Stu Baylor out in the, watching from our Yamaha Racing Skycam on that Ampro Yamaha YZ450 out front leading the way. And man, Mark, you want to talk about a shot in your arm, the arm for your career. Stu Baylor having what could have just been a terrible 2020, ultimately having a falling out with his team, not being able to find a ride mid-season, undergoing a minor knee surgery that had a whole bunch of complications leading to infections, so much time off the bike. Is there any better way to rebound than this?
No, and Stu has been riding great. I mean, both Enduros and the GNCCs, but the GNCCs have really come his way the last 3 rounds. And he was always known more as an Enduro specialist. That's where he won his championships. And to see this, I mean, he's definitely righted the ship and will put himself in fine shape going into next year.
And, Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall, again, maybe not at 100% today, but Ben Kelly is hot on his heels and chasing him and trying to come after that win. We saw Stu wrestle the win away from him just a month ago. Actually, the last 2 rounds, he was able to wrestle the win away from Ben, but leading the way here, and now he's just counting off mile markers. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of got the clear track. And too, by this point of the race, most people there kind of used up the other guys out there, so it's, if he catches lappers, they're not going to really be hammered down and making a lot of dust, so he should have a pretty smooth lap. He just needs to hit his marks and not make any mistakes. And then Ben, on the same token, he's been on fire here after getting that penalty early on, and he's moved through the pack pretty rapidly. So if it weren't for that 15-second penalty, we would really have a knockdown drag out on our hands. Yeah, good point. I had all but forgotten about that. Ben Kelly starting his bike just a little bit early, shut it off, we believe, and then restarted with the rest of the field, still incurring a 15-second penalty, a stop-and-go penalty, where they held him at the finish line there. And yeah, so Stu Baylor still leading the way in this one. Ben Kelly second, Lane Michael in third, Caleb Russell fourth, Thad Duvall in fifth, Josh Strang up to the 6th place position in the overall. So there you go on screen, Mark. That tells the tale of the points right there. And he's done what he's got to do to get back up in there to keep that championship hope alive. Becca, as we're watching this on screen and we're talking about all these championship battles and all the dust and all the challenge that these guys have to overcome, this track has seen so much racing this weekend. We talked a little bit about that, but how much rougher was the course getting throughout the course of your race, and how do you imagine it's shaping up now with 3 more hours of racing?
It didn't really seem like the track really got that rough. It was just rough from the get-go, and I never really noticed it, wearing me down or anything. So, but I'm sure these guys are breaking it down even more so, and like I said, the track is just super rough. We've raced it kind of twice this year already, and from the silt last year, it's just super chunky and rooty, and it's got everything in it. And I feel for these guys out here right now. Well, into the 3rd hour of racing, and this guy right here making it look easy. Stu Baylor on the 514 Ampro Yamaha leading the way. We'll see what the gap is. 21:32, and the gap has come down. It was
13 seconds, and it is now down to 8.
Ben Kelly is on a mission.
Ben Kelly on a mission, and last week he had a shadow of Lane Michael, only, well, not a shadow, 16 seconds behind him, so we'll see what that was. That was 31:40 as he went out of shot there. And we still have, now it's been 16 seconds. We have not seen Lane Michael yet. So it looks like that gap may be growing, which opens up the opportunity for Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall to potentially get up in there and battle for a podium spot. But, you know, if you're a Lane Michael fan, get out there, line the, there he is on screen. So went from, we don't have the clock on there, so I couldn't get the split, but looks like it's gone up upwards of probably 25 seconds or more. And there we see, looks like working their way through those chicanes, and they will soon be popping out. That was the 2-mile marker. The VP Fuels Pro Row is about the 3-mile marker. So this will be the last pass through, chance for these guys to get some fuel. If they need an air filter, which I don't think we'll probably see any air filter swaps this lap, but this guy right here is probably going to be getting nothing more than some encouragement from that AmPro Yamaha team telling him, you can do it.
Yeah, you know, we've got the, looks like we might have a battle shaping up front, but the big thing that I want to watch this last lap is Caleb Russell, because the way Strang has moved up through the pack after his long air filter change is he's going to stretch this out to Ironman unless Caleb can get on the gas and get that third place position. Because if Caleb jumps up to third, then Strang, even if he gets 5th place, Caleb will be the champ. So if Caleb can at least get into that third spot, that puts him, I think, in the driver's seat to wrap up the title today, because then Strang would have to get to 4th place the way the points play out.
So there we go. That is the points we've been talking so much about today, so much on the line. Championship battles. Ben Kelly into that 2nd place spot, charging hard and trying to close down the gap to the leader. The 5:14 of Stu Baylor. He's already around the fence and headed the other way. There is Kelly going the other way, so they just saw each other. Literally like 2 dogs staring at each other on the opposite side of the fence. Ben Kelly saying, I'm coming to get you. Stu Baylor saying, nah, boy, I got you covered on this one. And I'll tell you what, these two have battled each other hard the last couple races, even going back to the Mountaineer last year. Dusty race, treacherous conditions, and they battled each other all the way down to the finish, ultimately becoming Ben's first ever XC1 win. Lane Michael, Lane Michael down.
Oh, that was hard.
Boom, right to the pole.
He hit the corner of the last easy up there.
I believe that's actually a white
corner pole
marker.
Yeah.
So he will be okay, but he took a real hard hit there.
Ouch.
His front just washed. I think he tried to set up a little too inside for that corner there.
Yeah, he grabbed a little bit of front brake, and we're sure that Lane will definitely be up and okay, I'm sure. But yeah, that was a hard hit, and it looked like he took that pole. Oh, he's gone. He is up and gone, on his way. Just grabbing maybe a little bit too much front brake, or leaning the bike in a little bit too much here. See, he gets a little kick there under braking. Back end starts to come around.
Oh, yeah.
Tucks the front and right to the chest with the white pole corner marker. And those
It totally flipped him around also.
Yeah, that's, you know, that didn't knock the wind out.
Jump in there real quick, Johnny.
Sure
As Lane was down on the ground, it did open up the window of opportunity. Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall almost wheel to wheel going right past them. Back to you guys.
Okay,
So there
now
we go, Mark. You talked about it.
Now we've got
the points.
Yeah, but with Thad right on Caleb's rear wheel, Caleb doesn't have it easy from here in, because you know those two. They have had some battles over the year, and I don't think Thad is going to want to be the one that let Caleb win this title today.
100%, Mark. If there was a guy that's not going to cut Caleb Russell a break, knowing that he's trying to lock up a championship, it's going to be the guy that he has stolen or fought so bitterly. And friend, I mean, you know, they're both good guys. They've grown up in GNCC. It's not a personal dislike for each other. It's they both want to win, and Thad has had the unfortunate, you know, circumstances of basically growing up and racing in the Caleb Russell era. Think of how many race wins and championships have been so nearly looking like they were just going to happen for Thad, and Caleb would sneak him away. So if Thad has the opportunity to give Strang, you know, one opportunity just 2 weeks longer, I'm sure he's cleanly and professionally going to do everything he can. And also, he's racing for his own pride, his own career, and you know, I believe he has re-signed for multiple years, so it's not so much needing a deal. It's, you know, he wants to prove that he's capable of winning these races, which there's no question he is.
Yeah, and I think too that's what we're seeing out front is everybody knows that this is Caleb's last year, and I think what you're seeing out of Ben and Stu is they kind of want to figure out who is going to take that championship. And Thad, he wants to remind everybody, like, hey, don't forget about me. I've been second way too many times to count, so I want to be the guy that's leading this parade come next year.
And finishing back on the podium your first race back would be a massive statement. So, you know, championship aside, points aside, Thad Duvall is racing, and he sees the potential for a podium if he can get around Caleb Russell. So, you know, leading the way still is the 5:14 of Stu Baylor on that Ampro Yamaha. Second place, the 5:30 of Ben Kelly on the FMF KTM. And here is Baylor out front. We'll see what that gap is as he comes by, hits that G out just at 2 hours, 37 minutes. And he's looking pretty smooth right now, guys. Doesn't look like a whole lot of urgency. He's opened that gap back up just a little bit. Looks like it's 9, 10, about 11 seconds back. So we saw it at 16. We saw it down to 8. Now it looks like it's back up around 11 or 12 seconds. So that, you know, that's really going to kind of show as we watch that gap. Can Ben get close enough to make a move? Or is Stu Baylor just going to kind of manage that gap from the front, watch his pit boards, keep an eye over his shoulder? And, man, a lot of pressure on both those guys right now.
Yeah, and also Lane Michael, you know, how much does he have left after that crash? You know, going into the last lap, you know, just having, you know, the ride of his year for this year, you know, will he'll be able to at least maybe keep it in the top 5.
Yeah, and absolutely, you know, there is a pretty good-sized gap back to that 6th place ride, which we think now is Josh Strang, which ultimately could loom large for that championship. You know, if Lane is unable to continue at a solid pace, he may potentially fall back into the grasp of a very, very hard-charging 114 machine, the green machine of Josh Strang. Caleb Russell now still out there in that 3rd place spot. Looks like he lost his tail there. Thad Duvall on the 989 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna falling back just a little bit, but not too far. He can still see Caleb. He is still right there, guys.
That's a close battle, but I'm telling you, it's hard to battle in that stuff when you're the 2nd place.
Yeah. And another thing, you know, I mean, now we're getting into the point with that. I mean, we know he's got the speed and the heart and the desire, but fitness, you know, he's been off all year. And sometimes, too, being off, you know, helps you.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but Lane Michael made a quicker recovery than we realized.
He bounced right back.
Yeah, he's there in that 5th place spot, you know, and he looks like he's riding with quite a bit of aggression. He didn't look like he was just limping along, looking over his shoulder like, is anybody catching me? He might be on a mission to try to catch back up to that podium battle. And you got to think, a guy that led so much of this race, he wants to be on that podium. He needs to be on that podium. He's going to do everything he can do to try to get back up in there in that battle.
Yeah, and, you know, hopefully leading all these laps as he did today has given him confidence. And he's another one of those young kids that, with Caleb gone, he's looking at moving up the ladder next year and wants to be contending for wins and podiums and stuff. But here we got the replay coming up to see what we got going on here.
We thought we were gonna, but instead we've got still got a shot of the 4-mile marker here. The next rider that we should be seeing on screen should be potentially, as we think, the 114 on that Babbitt's Monster Energy Kawasaki, and that would be the other man battling out, still left alive in this championship battle, the 114 of Josh Strang. Last we knew was in 7th place overall, but we heard he had moved up to 6th and had gotten his way around Andrew DeLong for that 6th place overall position, which keeps him, as they run right now, just 2 points shy of potentially keeping that championship alive. So he would need to run Lane Michael down or hope that Caleb Russell loses a spot to Thad Duvall. There he is, Josh Strang.
Yeah, and I tell you, you got to give Josh Strang a lot of credit today because, you know, he battled back at the Burrow 2 weeks ago, coming back, and then today, you know, he's not 100%, but and with their lengthy pit stops, you know, he has battled today to take this to the next round. So we'll see how this next few minutes plays out.
And, you know, you've talked about it a number of times in the last couple of minutes. Riders trying to make a statement, you know, with Caleb Russell leaving, you know, not racing GNCC full-time next year. Josh Strang is another rider that has been that number 2 guy so many times. You know, he definitely wants to put his mark on it and say, no, I'm the guy. I'm the guy that's going to get this done.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people, just like when Ricky Carmichael, you know, stepped out. It's like, who's going to be the next guy? You know, Mike Lafferty in the National Enduros. You know, we've had a lot of guys that have been on the top of the step and knocked a lot of people off for a long time, and it's interesting to see who steps up when the top guy goes away.
And, you know, we've seen that across different classes, different forms of racing, and different forms of sports in general. You know, when you have a rider that is as dominant and as formidable as Caleb Russell is, you know, when he kind of steps away or indicates that he's going to step away, kind of re-energizes the rest of the field. Like, as you said, with Ricky Carmichael and so many of the guys over the years, it's all of these guys that were kind of, well, I'm a 2nd place guy, I'm a 3rd place guy, kind of a thing. Like, hey man, championships, race wins, all that's available. And you know, it's when you're racing for wins, not that I would know that well, but when you are, I think I got one time. You've got, how many do you have?
How many?
GNCC or 100
I think 14.
14, okay, yep. So you've got quite a few more.
You have to ask if it's GNCC or 100 milers.
Well,
I go back a long way.
Veteran here.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, watching at home, as we wait and we watch for the 5:14 of Stu Baylor at the 11-mile marker, and this will be just, really, really coming down to the nitty-gritty. From there, it comes right out to the finish, and that will be a checkered flag waving. If whoever we see first will likely be the winner, but Mark, we talked earlier. We will still see him at the 8-mile marker. We're just I thought we jumped ahead. I thought these guys were really on the gas. But Mark, we talked a little bit earlier. You've actually been racing this series since it was the 100-miler series, the Weisco 100-miler series, which then became the Weisco Grand National Cross Country Series, which we now know as just GNCC. So how have you seen this series? This group of riders and properties and everything that's involved in the series, the promoter. How has the progression been over the course of your career?
It's been phenomenal. Dave Coombs was just a visionary, and he was so great at seeing down the road and getting people on the same page and have a common goal. We just went and we were riding our dirt bikes and having fun and everything, and to see the level it's gone to, you look down pit row, you see a semi. Back in our day, if you had a Ford super van, you were the top of the list. Now with the semis and all the professionalism and guys are making money racing dirt bikes, it's just amazing, and the Racer Production has just done a phenomenal job. Making this the premier, not just one of the U.S. premier series, but through the world. You see guys like Juha Salmon and David Knight, coming over from Europe because they, Shane Watts, they want to make their mark here in America at this series. So it's been neat, and the places we've gone, I know it's changed, and, a race like the Blackwater 100, the Big Bear, and Ed Lojak, actually, we talked about early, rode his bike to the race because the Fireball 100 was across the street from the shop. So, stuff like that doesn't happen anymore. But we got to go to some cool places like that and race some neat things. And even the venues we have now, some of the ski resorts we've gone to and other locations, the Boy Scout camp a few weeks ago. Ironman coming up. It's just some phenomenal places, and the TV coverage that you're getting, and just the atmosphere at these events. It's just amazing to see all these people coming together week in, week out, and just putting on just first-class events.
And as we're talking about that, we'll wait on our leaders here at the 8-mile marker, but, you pointed out all the international flair. It's really honestly grown to the point now where it used to be American riders, if they wanted that notoriety, they went abroad, where now it's riders from Europe coming here because this is the premier off-road series. We've seen it in the XC1 Pro class, and now even with the WXC class. Obviously, we've got riders coming from abroad with, so many of the top female riders, and it's kind of become this America versus, abroad thing. And, Becca, for you, obviously, all those years of kind of racing here, now 10 years or 11 years, actually, in GNCC, how does that play out when you basically, you're racing against riders that have grown up in the GNCC series, but then also have riders from abroad coming in as well?
Yeah, it's grown tremendously even from when I started racing these for fun back in 2011. Like, the growth of this sport is just, it just keeps on going. And yeah, we have the girls that come from Australia, Taylor and Mackenzie, and now we've got Rachel Archer from New Zealand. And Rachel's pretty young, and she has wanted to come over here and race it when she was just a young teenager. So it's pretty awesome, and it's cool to see it grow, especially on the women's side of things. But it's awesome to be able to race a series that people strive to be the best at. This is tough racing, and no matter how it evolves, like, the hardship of it is ever evolving also. It never really gets much easier.
Yeah, the courses, a lot of people, and Mark, you may see this as well, the courses have changed for sure. They used to be kind of slower paced, more technical, but when you have as many racers as you do on a GNCC weekend now, you have to make the courses that are capable of holding that many riders. So it's evolved more into, Becca, kind of as you were alluding to, it's not just about riding a dirt bike. Not that what you guys were doing wasn't phenomenal, but it's almost now truly an athletic achievement as well as being a rider. And there is Stu Baylor. Stu Baylor clearly is a rider, and he tries to play down the fact that he's an athlete. He tries to act like he doesn't train, and he's all about oh, look at this. But this guy right here behind him is trying to play up the fact that he is an athlete and trying to run Stu down, and he has definitely closed that gap down.
Yes, Ben is on it hard. You know, it's he wants to win some races before this year's over. He had an injury earlier in the year. And jumping back to the international thing, it was really awesome last year at 6 Days to see our women's team and our World Trophy team both win. I mean, that was phenomenal. So you saw the switch of us just trying to go over to Europe and compete, where now we're dominating the off-road. And Becca, you know, she had an amazing 6 Days last year, just like our GNCC-led trophy team along with Taylor Robert from out west. But and then the junior team was all GNCC kids. So it's really neat for me because 6 Days is very important to me, and you know, I grew up with it, and it was awesome. I know Becca doesn't think that sometimes, but
I heard you were going to go to Italy next year, Mark.
If you go, I go. I think that's the deal.
All right, there you go. Robert Pierce, Auntie Cullinan, you heard it first. If Becca goes, Mark will go. Those are the stipulations. Obviously, speaking about the International 6 Days Enduro last year in Portugal, the American team of the trophy team of Caleb Russell, rider coming up on screen, in third place. We do not see, there is Thad Duvall right behind him. So Thad not giving up on that potential podium. Caleb Russell still trying to make it stick, knowing that that may be what he needs to drive the final nail in this championship and put it to rest. I know he's been wanting to get this thing closed up and in the position to maybe be able to do that.
Yeah, right now Thad Duvall could be one of his best friends or his worst friends. If Thad stays behind him, it gives him the cushion to beat Josh Strang. If Thad passes Caleb, then that gives Strang another 2 weeks to contend for this title.
As they run right now.
Yes.
Now Strang is still in that 6th place spot in the overall. Lane Michael's still right there. He's not lost much ground, which means it is still going to be a pretty healthy gap back to Josh Strang. They're here now at the 8-mile marker, the 11-mile marker finish. Becca, talk a little bit what lies between where these guys are now at the 8 and the finish line. What's in front of these guys, and what do they still have to overcome?
These guys, from here on out, the track's actually pretty gnarly. It's pretty fast, but it's super technical, and something about actually after this, it's very rooty and it's hard to ride. I guess it's not that fast. It kind of slows down a little bit. You have some gnarly downhills that are a little bit silty, and
you've got that one really silty uphill still ahead of them.
Yep, the one really silty one, and it's just some tight, twisty stuff with a couple, open straightaways. It's technical, though. Anything can happen out there, especially with the lappers that they're facing right now.
So when you mix the lappers in and thinking about the track that lies ahead of them from the 8 to the 11, Stu Baylor, not what you might call a comfortable lead, but he doesn't exactly have Ben right on his rear wheel. He's got a few seconds there, so he's going to try and kick up dust, try and hold Ben off. Ben's going to be charging, trying to get to that rear wheel. If Ben can get to the rear wheel, or in the case of Thad and Caleb, who are a little bit closer, are there many passing opportunities if you can kind of bonsai a line or create a line or jump anything crazy or really charge anything coming up?
Oh, I'm sure they've got a few lines out there between here and the finish. Like I said, all those downhills, and even in that tight stuff, especially when when there's lappers in front of them, they could kind of see the line ahead if they're chasing somebody, and make a good quick line choice through the bush or whatever you got to do. Anything's possible between here and the finish.
So Josh Strang we just saw on screen, Mark, and he is still fighting. He has gotten around his teammate there. We see Jordan Ashburn, the 127. He's gotten around Andrew DeLong. He's made all the passes that he's able to make of guys in front of him. But is that bridge too big a gap to cross right now to Lane Michael for him to potentially keep this championship alive?
Yeah, right now the distance between Lane is, unless Lane has a big problem, there's no way that's going to happen. The only thing he can hope for is Thad Duvall is his new best friend and gets around Caleb. That's the only thing that's going to save him. And I think Caleb, as many championships he's won, as smart a racer as he is, I don't see him making a mistake between here and the finish.
All right, well, there you have it, folks. We're going to take a little break. We're going to come back, and on the line is the championship for this overall GNCC title 2020. Caleb Russell with a potential 8th championship pending. Stu Baylor potentially looking at 3 straight wins, and we'll have the answers to all those questions coming back here in just a few moments.
It's hard to put our adventures on hold, but now is the perfect time to prepare for their return. AMSOIL has your back with fast, free shipping, and ordering has never been easier. Just look up your vehicle, Select your product, add an oil change to your cart, and check out. Spend $50 on AMSOIL products and shipping is on us. Order now at amsoil.com.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lee, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
The second lap at the Burr Oak race, I came up on Caleb in the what we'd normally call the John Penn section, and I would think I was in 8th or something. So, I mean, 6 people had already gone past, and he was still in the middle of the track on the ground. So, I think it was only the right thing to do to stop and make sure he's all right. You know, we had Ricky Russell went down earlier in the year with a major injury, so you never know. Being that far out, I'm probably the furthest part from the pits or anywhere, so I just thought it was the right thing to do to stop, make sure he's all right, and I helped him off the track, and then after a little bit he said I could keep going. So I mean, I may have lost a few positions overall, but I think I did, looking back at it, I did the right thing, and I'm okay with it.
Well, there you go, and that shows not just what a racer he is, but what a human he is. You know, to be able to say that knowing there's a championship on the line, literally the guy that you were battling with for the championship is laying in the middle of the trail. He said, hey, I know I lost a few positions, but it was just the right thing to do, and, you know, ultimately, in the end, that's probably a much better move for life and for karma and all that than saying, like, hey, here's this guy down. We're just going to... Oh, look at this. We're being told that we should be seeing them pop out here into this shot. Stu Baylor leading and Ben Kelly right on him. So we may get to see a battle for the win in the final turns, and the drama just keeps on giving today, Mark.
Yeah, and like I said, these two kids, they're the young kids. They want to be the next big thing. I mean, Stu's already done that in the enduro world, but Ben is coming, and he's coming hard. So he's going to throw everything at – look at Stu. He's protecting those inside lines. He doesn't want to give Ben an inch. But
well, Now, this is a flashback to Georgia where Caleb Russell was able to sneak one away from Stu Baylor, but not today, folks. Stu Baylor, 3 wins in a row, takes the win here at the Mason-Dixon GNCC. 3 in a row for Stu Baylor. Ben Kelly just fractions of a second behind him on that FMF KTM. Hats off to both these guys. Handshakes, animosity. No, I don't think there's any animosity. Nothing but respect amongst those two. You know Ben wanted that one, but Stu Baylor just able to squeak it out again. 3 wins in a row after what was nothing but a dumpster fire of a 2020 for Stu Baylor. He comes back, wins his first race back, backs it up 2 weeks ago, and backs it up the backup here today at the Mason-Dixon. Mark, this kid is seriously showing that he wants to be taken seriously in this championship consideration moving forward, and soon we should be seeing potentially
our third 8-time champ. You've got Dick Burleson, Mike Lafferty in the Enduro world, and this would be the second 8-time champ in the GNCC world, followed by Ed Lojak, who has 9.
There we go. And Barry Hawk actually has 8. 7 of those are ATV titles, 1 motorcycle. Bill Balance also has 9 on the ATV side, but this would put him very much up in the conversation of greatest off-road riders of all time, greatest GNCC riders of all time. If he crosses the line in 3rd, we will have to wait to celebrate, because Josh Strang, if he finishes inside that top 5, would still keep it alive. But as he runs right now, he's in 6th, and also we don't know for sure that Caleb has been able to hang on to that 3rd place spot. It could be, here it is, recognize the helmet, Caleb Russell, the #1 FMF KTM.
Thad right behind him.
Thad right behind him. Caleb taking a look over his shoulder and knowing that he needs to make just these last couple corners clean.
Yes, because as long as he finishes in 3rd place and Thad's right behind him, that will give Caleb the title.
So even if Strang crosses the line in 5th, it would still be enough?
Yes.
Okay, so that's it, folks. Sorry to be anticlimactic about it. We thought maybe Josh Strang still had a chance, but with Caleb Russell crossing the line in 3rd, there he is, folks, 8-time GNCC champion. Caleb Russell getting the job done today, coming off an injury just 2 weeks ago, not knowing what it was going to take for him. You can see walking away from that bike, looks like he's pretty depleted, and he's going to have a seat well-deserved for this man. 8 GNCC championships, takes a seat against the trailer, his wife Chandler there with him, and what a feeling of relief, if they've even told him yet, that he has in fact locked up the 2020 GNCC overall championship.
You know, this is pretty awesome, and I really got to put my KTM hat on here, because the president of our company, John Hines, he came to this race today, even though the odds weren't in Caleb's favor to wrap it up. And that just show you how much off-road racing means to KTM. Well, you know, when the president of our company takes the time to fly here, spend the weekend with us, he had a long conversation with Caleb yesterday. So it's just really cool for us as a company, and even more important for Caleb and Jeff Russell, too. Jeff has just got to be ecstatic, and his grandfather, Howard. I mean, it's an amazing thing what Caleb has done today and throughout his whole career. So, you know, I just have nothing but respect for Caleb and what he's done on a dirt bike, and it's just amazing. And now he's just going to have to coach up crew for the next, in a few years, we'll get another Russell on the podium.
And you talk about Caleb Russell's a guy, you give him a chance, just a chance, and he's going to make the most of it. That's what he's done throughout his career, and today he had a chance. Like you said, maybe not a good chance. Obviously, him coming off an injury, needing to put 5 points on Josh Strang, he just digs and digs and gets it done.
Yeah, it was an amazing effort today, because most of us wouldn't even got off the couch today if our knee was in the shape that Caleb's knee was in probably. If we knew, if he really got on how bad it was, I'm sure he didn't, because, you know, he's a competitor. He didn't want to give his competition any advantage. You can see the look on his face. He gave it everything he had today, and it's just, you know, you and I, we both raced. I've been not quite where he's been, but won some titles and stuff. But you know the effort you have to put out when you're healthy. And to put an effort out like that in the condition he is just phenomenal. I mean, look at his shoulder. His jersey's ripped off. The shoulder's bleeding. That was a struggle for him today, but, you know, he put it out there, and that's why he's 8-time champ.
Yeah, you know, and Mark, you said it right there. You know, this isn't just about winning a dirt bike race. This isn't just about winning a championship. This is about a guy who's able to take himself places mentally and physically. We've talked about it before off camera. He's able to take himself places that mere mortals, normal, well-adjusted human beings say, no, enough's enough. That's enough pain. That's enough for the day. I need to just back it off a little bit. Thad Duvall cut him no slack. Thad Duvall so close to that podium today. His first ride back, you know, he was throwing everything he had at it. Caleb Russell would not be denied this 8th championship. Kudos to Thad Duvall. Kudos to Stu Baylor. Another win, the man of the day, but the man of the year right now, this guy right here, Caleb Russell, 8-time GNCC overall champion. That's phenomenal stuff.
That is amazing, you know, and I know KTM's got some plans for Caleb in the future that are going to be phenomenal. I know we're going to do some stuff at Ironman that you guys don't want to miss, so make sure you guys make the trip over that one. And, you know, the Ironman's always a fantastic race and everything, and, you know, you can see Stu had a great ride today, Ben had a great ride, but like I said, the man of today was Caleb Russell. That was just an amazing ride.
I'm guessing that's not actually a water that Stu Baylor just drank. One of the fans giving him a little bit of refreshment. Stu Baylor never wanted to turn away the fans. The people love him. He is the everyman. He overcame so much adversity this year in 2020. Looks like he's going to go back, get sprayed off quick, and then come back for what I'm sure will be a wild podium celebration. Man, Stu Baylor with the win. Ben Kelly in second. Caleb Russell rounding the last turns, coming in that 3rd place spot, hot under pressure from Thad Duvall, able to hang on to it, clinching the championship. Had Thad Duvall have passed him, that would have been it. That would have been the championship right there.
Yep. Yeah, you know, that's the thing that today's race, I mean, Caleb didn't catch a break from anywhere. You know, he had to ride hard all day. It's not like he could, you know, just cruise around in 5th, 6th place, whatever. He rode as hard as he could, you know, especially in the condition he was in. That was pretty amazing. You can see some smiles on his face now after the first initial finish. I think it's setting in on what he's actually accomplished, and it'll probably take even a little while longer, but he's got a lot to be proud of. I know his dad's extremely proud, and we at KTM too. We think the world of Caleb, and Caleb, great job. Thank you so much for doing what you do.
Hats off to Lane Michael there, finishing out after that what looked like a pretty hard crash there in the pro pits on the last lap while running in 3rd, still finishing out the day in 5th. Josh Strang in 6th, a great charge back for him. He was up in that 2nd place spot, dropped back to 11th at one point, comes all the way back at 6th. Just fighting, clawing, trying to keep that championship alive. Really showing the heart, and another rider that you can't help but continue to talk about for race wins the rest of 2020 and also as a championship contender going forward into 2021.
Yeah, that's what I think, you know, a lot of these, you know, we had a lot of scenarios playing out today. You know, Caleb, obviously the championship was on the line, but then everybody else, they're all working for next year. They want to set themselves up to get that premier ride, you know, set the tone, put it in everybody's mind like, hey, I'm the guy to beat for next year. You know, I know Thad, he's been second too many times to count, and he wants to reestablish himself. It's like, hey, Caleb's gone, I'm going to take over that spot. So there's a lot of that going on. And then the XC2 class, there's a lot of good racing left there. I mean, that thing is really undecided, and that's cool with the young kids. They don't know any better sometimes. They're just going to give it everything they have, and I think that's why you see so much chaos in the early laps of the XC2 class. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out these last 2 rounds.
Absolutely, Mark. In the XC2 250 Pro class, rounding out or making the top 5 as they've checked in at the completion of lap number 6 and a checkered flag. Mike Wachowski grabbing the win on that AmPro Yamaha with the 1st place position, 12 seconds over Cody Barnes. Cody Barnes had dropped back to 4th there, fighting his way back on that number 99 Factory Beta, coming back. I don't think that's his first podium this year, but it's his first podium in a while, up there in that 3rd place spot. Great for him, great for Beta. And then Craig DeLong in the 3rd place spot, again, 2 seconds behind Cody Barnes. So that one, you know, was a battle through the final turns. We didn't get to see it. Liam Draper in 4th. Johnny Gerard works his way up to 5th, but a minute and 5 down off of Liam Draper. You know, he was in point salvage mode. He was our points leader coming in. We'll have to do some math. We'll let you know at the next round. But it is possible that that points lead may have changed hands, or at least that battle got a lot tighter. And, you know, Mike Wachowski and Craig DeLong both very much in the thick of that championship fight still. But Johnny Gerard was leading the way. Jesse Ansley, shout out to him, 6th place. Actually, I'm sorry, it looks like Johnny Gerard and Jesse Ansley have not yet completed lap number 6. It's only your top 4 that have come in. So top 4, we'll have to wait and see how those points play out when they complete that lap number 6 for those guys on further back. We haven't had any of our XC3 125 FMF class come in just yet, but that we'll check and see if we can get some results before we go off air here. I'm sure we're going to be getting some interviews. Mikey Wayne's most likely down there, and oh, it sounds like we've got a little something for the fans at home on Caleb Russell's 8th championship. A momentous day today, to borrow our buddy Rodney's saying, and Caleb Russell getting the job done. 8 championships, and 2020 was another fantastic year for Caleb Russell.
It's there's an ending in sight, and it's not that revolving door of not knowing, you know.
It's in racing and in sport, like there's this revolving door that just never stops moving. You're always, you know, you accomplish one goal and it's on to the next, and there's never an end in sight, so to speak. You reach that goal and it's like, all right, well, what's the next? What's the next? And you know, you get to the top and you're expected to keep winning and keep moving forward in that direction. And like I said, without an ending in sight. So now that there's a end game to it, so to speak, I'm a lot more calm and relaxed and collected about it. It's like in life, all good things come to an end at some point, and you know, I'm happy with where I'm at and how I'm able to you know, close my career out.
Ambition, aspiration, hope, goals, design, plan, objective, and desire. All words used to describe the word dream. Dreams drive us to become the best we can, and sometimes drive us to be the best ever.
It's you know, ever since I was a little kid, just watching Barry and Rodney and Freddie and all those guys, that's all I ever wanted to do. And you know, I'm happy to be up here and be a part of that elite group of guys. So you know, it's a pretty awesome experience.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise. 8-time GNCC national champion, Caleb Russell! Well, Caleb, I could sit up here and talk all day about championship 1, 2, 3, all through them. We want to hear it from you, brother. Talk to us. What a way to cap off a career with a championship. Number 8, put it into words for us.
It's unreal, really. To win one's tough, and to back it up is even harder. So to keep it going and go 8 straight's unreal. I never would have dreamed it was, you know, an actual possibility. There's just too many variables in off-road racing. There's too much to go on. There's too much time out there on the track. There's too many different conditions. I mean, that track was unreal. It's completely brutal. If we would have done 2 filter swaps, there's no way this thing would have finished. It was just pure silt from the drop of the gate, and it was just fighting the dust and fighting those ruts. And man, I banged myself up a couple weeks ago at the last race, and I was a little unsure of how it was going to go, but we took it easy the last couple weeks, and I just really wanted to get this thing out of the way and not drag it on any longer. And I just stayed to the ground, kept my nose to the ground, and just, it was hard to pass out there. So I just tried to keep guys behind me, and like I said, they'd get around me when I do the filters, and but it was a must. Like, we would have been you know, no points if we wouldn't have done that. So I got to give it up to the whole team. Without Auntie and everybody that supports this factory KTM team, this would never be possible. It's been a real honor to race for this team my entire career, and finish it out and go out on top. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Caleb, one more thing, man. Talking about today's race, what it took this season, how does ending your career, this finale, this championship campaign you had here in 2020, a year that was absolute chaos for everybody, we could see it in your body language throughout the season. I think back to the John Penton as you're coming in there for the checkered flag, and you could see you visually kind of taking it all in. What was that like for you throughout this entire season?
It was good. I came in really prepared and really fit, and the whole season just fell apart with coronavirus, and everything was an unknown. But you know, I did the best I could and staying in shape and riding and stuff. And you know, like I said, I came into the beginning just on fire, just ready to go and raring, and I dinged myself up a couple times, and yeah, once you do that, it's tough, man. The guys are stepping it up. Ben's getting healthy, Stu's healthy again, and they're going fast. And it's like I said, if you're not on top of your game, it's hard to compete with these guys. And I couldn't hang on to them there at the end. And it was, like I said, it was fighting the dust. So it was hard to even stay inside anyways. So I'm happy for those guys to you know, turn it around and have some good results. But yeah, I'm just happy to pull her in third, get this 8th championship out of the way. Hines missed Zach's first championship in the 450 class to be out here, so I had to pull through for him.
I love it. I love it. All right, last question, and then we'll let you pop some bottles and celebrate, my friend. It's wrapped up. There's 2 rounds of racing left. Are we going to see an Ironman in the following round?
Yeah, for sure. As long as you know, this knee is still troubling. It's not healthy by any means. It's pretty beat up, and I'm noticing I'm not recovering quite as fast as I once did. So as long as I don't ding myself up anymore, we'll be at the next 2.
That's what we wanted to hear. You guys make some noise. In my opinion, the GOAT, 8-time GNCC champion, Caleb Russell. Yeah, how about it? Put that into words, my friend. All right, we will restack the box here, doing them one at a time. I believe we're going to get our second place rider up here next, and then we'll talk. We'll get Ben Kelly up here on the box, and then we'll talk to Stu last up here. Copy that. All right, we are down here with second place finisher here today, Mr. Ben Kelly. And as Caleb Russell makes his way off of the box, it's hard to ignore the fact of what is the future of GNCC, and I think we got a little glimpse of that today in Ben Kelly as well as Stu Baylor, a whole slew of other names. But Ben, boy, putting it together this season, it's coming around, and I know you got to be watching Caleb get that 8th championship, and I got to see the wheels turning in your head thinking, that's going to be me. I want to be that guy.
Yeah, I definitely want to fight for that championship. You know, it unraveled this year getting hurt, but I was able to come on strong here at these last few races, and I feel like I'm just getting better and better, back in the groove, so I'm happy. And yeah, congrats to Caleb. You know, learned a lot from him the past few years, so I owe a lot to him for me riding as good as I am right now. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to the future. And yeah, today was tough. Seemed like everything was going wrong. You know, I started my bike too early and then shut it off, trying to do the right thing, but then I ended up with a dead last start, and when I came around that first lap, they stopped me for 15 seconds, which I knew was coming, and kind of got me angry. The XC2 guys were right there, and yeah, I just pushed as best I could. It was tough, you know, you'd catch a guy and kind of have to follow him for a while and try to make a pass, and yeah, a few other things fumbled with that first pit and got passed back by a few guys, but after that we nailed the second one, and I started picking guys off and was able to reel in Stu, but it was like a mile from the finish, and yeah, when I caught him, there was nothing I could do. I tried to pass him, but there weren't many options out there with that dust. Couldn't really get close enough, but yeah, happy with second. You know, this one hurts a little bit compared to the last two because I was so close, and I felt like I could have got it done, but you know, hats off to Stu again, and in another 2 weeks we'll try again.
Try again at Ironman. Make some noise. Second place finisher in the overall here today, Ben Kelly.
Switch me that. All right, so there we go, folks. Ben Kelly, your second place finisher. Obviously, we did the championship presentation for Caleb Russell. Huge day for him. Great video put together by the boys in the booth there. Adam Gordon, all the boys in there that put that together. Hats off to you. Stu Baylor waiting for his chance to get up there. He wants to get up on that podium. Well-deserved for him. 3 wins in a row on that AmPro Yamaha. Again, we've talked about it. We're not trying to beat a dead horse here, but this was a guy without a ride literally just a few weeks ago. He bought a dirt bike from a local dealer. He raced a Kawasaki at some of the Enduros, Mark, and you know, he found at least a temporary home with this AmPro team. And man, he's shown that, as you were just saying, the guy can ride a dirt bike.
Yeah, you know, and Randy Hawkins, who runs the AmPro team, he's got to be pretty proud today. There's a lot of blue on both podiums in those 2 top classes. So Stu is definitely a force. I mean, he's won some titles for us at KTM in the Enduro world. You know, we never saw this side of him on GNCCs. He's always been up there, but yeah. But he's talked about it. He needs to make a house payment, so I guess that's his motivation, and he's laying it down right now.
Yeah, and as you pointed out, I actually did just receive a text from Donnie Luce, off-road race manager for Yamaha. He pointed out that today was the first ever GNCC podium sweep of the 3 premier classes for Yamaha, with obviously Stu Baylor taking the XC1 win, Mike Wachowski the XC2 win, Rachel Archer the WXC win, and then also Becca Sheets wrapping up that WXC championship. So as he put it, a great day for the boys and girls in blue. You know, it's Caleb Russell, the man of the year with the championship, but the man of the day, the man of the last 3 GNCCs, this guy right here, Stu Baylor, the number 514 AmPro Yamaha. I feel like Stu Baylor's going to have some stuff to tell us about today.
Well, I don't even know what to say. You sit on the couch, as you say, throwing down cold natty lights, whatever the hell you were doing. You came back on the AmPro Yamaha. Stu, not once, not twice, but now 3 times center of the box, man. Put it in perspective for us. What is clicking for Stu Baylor?
Honestly, today, you know, I really struggled early on the first 3 laps. I was pretty frustrated with everything that was going on, and I was really aggravated on the track, and it was showing. I was making a lot of mistakes, and I knew the KTM boys were going to have to stop with 2 to go, and I could see that everybody was right in that group. I think 6 of us were all within 10-12 seconds with 2 to go. So I knew I had to make a push, and Thad waved me by over here, and I sprinted to get close to Ben, and I knew Caleb was right there. And when they pitted, that was what I needed. And you know, it was, like I said, today wasn't today. I definitely don't think I was the best guy on the track all around. I think I had some spurts of excellence, but you know, I know those guys had to change filters, and I was just trying to play it at the right place at the right time, and not make any mistakes doing so. So you know, if you ask what's clicking right now, I would say strategy. You know, the team, the Yamaha having the filter up here. You know, I knew I didn't have to win. I didn't have to lead like I have the last couple of races. You know, just pace myself and be in the right place, and that's where I was.
So what about personally? What has changed in your mindset here at the latter half of the season?
You know, honestly, it was at the beginning of the season when Caleb announced his retirement. I've been chasing that guy since we were kids. He was always a few years older and a few in a class above, and then we got the XC1, and I would run with him for a lap or two, and I think when he announced that, I was like, shit, all right, well, I don't have many more chances. I think a lot of guys did that, and I worked my ass off this off season, and I studied Caleb. I studied what he does. I've said it time and time again. He's not here to win the race. He's here to beat the guy beside him, and that's what he's done so well. And I think it's the mental side where he's been so dominant.
Stu, last thing, I kind of talked to Ben Kelly about it a little bit. I could see both in Ben Kelly and in yourself as you watch Caleb up here accept the celebration for that 8th title. I could see it in your eyes. You're kind of visualizing, all right, that's going to be me next year. What do you got to do to make it happen?
Honestly, I know where I need to be as far as speed. I know what I need to do as far as fitness. It's just taking it one race at a time, staying healthy, and know your lines all day. 3 hours is a long time, and when you multiply that by 13, it's hard to be as dominant as he has been. And anymore, I think that he's set the standard pretty high. Used to, if you were consistently 4th place in the GNCCs, you'd get a championship. Now, if you're not 1st and 2nd every weekend, you're not going to win. So, that's the big missing piece of the puzzle that a lot of us have struggled with. We've had, brilliant rides here and there, but he's always been there.
Well, Stu Baylor, it has worked for you for 3 in a row. You guys make some noise. Your overall winner here at the Mason-Dixon GNCC, Stu Baylor.
Trade me.
Where's Gary? We need to talk about this.
Don't do it on the mic.
Wait, I need to. Okay. We got to at least give some shout outs. I forgot about that. You forgot about that.
No, you're live on TV. We don't normally do it on TV.
Well, I'll give the shout out to the Yamaha guys, Corey, Lucas, Randy, all the guys busting their ass all week. They're working just as hard as I am, if not harder. And, Jay, my suspension guy, JDP, my wife, Moose Racing, Forma Boots, Shoei Helmets, X Brand, every Flex Bars, everybody behind me. It's huge to have the support that we need to come out here and win, and do it obviously with a little less support than the rest of the guys. So love to keep it up here for the next 2.
There you go. And with that said, that's going to wrap things up down here on the box. And a big congratulations to Stu Baylor. Who wants a fender? Stu Baylor's got a little swag, going to make it rain. We'll take it back to Johnny Gallagher in the booth.
All right, there you go, folks. When you win 3 GNCCs in a row, we let you thank your sponsors on RacerTV. He earned that one. And anybody who doesn't know what that fender is about, there was a little bit of hubbub on Instagram. Stu Baylor looping his bike out at the finish line at the last one after winning number 2, and he's giving that fender away from the podium. So cool story. Mark, thanks so much for joining us in the booth today. On behalf of myself, Rodney Tomlin, Mikey Waynes, Ryan Amancio, the entire RacerTV crew, everybody, Stu Baylor with the win today. Caleb Russell putting the wraps on championship number 8, and this guy knows how to do GNCC. What a phenomenal day here at the Mason-Dixon GNCC. Mark, anything you want to say before you go?
Hey, thanks for having me. It was great to be here to witness, Caleb's 8th title, and KTM and myself will always be here supporting GNCCs. We love the sport and always want to be a part of it.
Well, again, on behalf of everybody here at RacerTV, thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for watching a historic day. Next year, one of these guys is going to be winning a championship because Caleb Russell is all done, but we're all done for today. We're going to see you guys again in 2 weeks as we come to you from the Ironman GNCC. But again, on behalf of Kerry Russell, Adam Gordon, Griff Cotter, all of the crew, everybody, all the camera operators, Rodney Tomlin, Mikey Waynes, myself, Mark Hyde, Ryan Amancio, everybody that makes this happen, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.